Not in your head, don't hear a word I said. Can't communicate, don't relate, don't relate. What up, Mr. MC1? How's it going, fam?
Hey, doing good, Randy. Doing good, man. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. I was doing my little intro song. Every time I'll go live, do a little intro song. This was "Freak the Freak Out" by Victoria Justice. I don't know if you know who that is, but it's one of the great Nickelodeon artists of the 2000s, 2010s. And yeah, I also am trying not to do the millennial pause. Do you know what that is?
I don't know what the millennial pause is, but let's hear it. I heard
Okay.
you talking about it though.
Yeah. So you know how, and you might have done this for a time too. You know how
Sure.
back in the day when texting first started, a lot of people would they would text something and then they would put a space and then they'd put a period because back in the day for typewriters you had to do that. You remember?
Yeah, I do remember.
Okay, so there's a lot of people that still do that. And this is similar to that in how when phones first came out and you pressed record, you had to like wait a second for the
Okay.
phone to like buffer for it to actually record. So you would like sit and wait patiently. And then when it would finally record, it'd be like, hey everyone, how's it going? And apparently I've been doing that up until like a few days ago. And millennials now know or Gen Z, it's called the Gen Z shake, where you press record and it starts automatically, like, hey guys, how's it going? And you don't need that pause. And millennials still do that pause in the same way that Gen X and boomers did the space and the period at the end of the text.
Awesome. So you're
That's
giving
what
it up. You're kind of modernizing. Is that what you're saying?
I'm doing my best to stay relevant.
Okay. Good.
I cut 6 inches off the hair. I shaved a little bit. I'm
Yeah.
doing my very best.
I saw that photograph that you pasted when you were quite a bit younger in the Marines, or maybe pre-Marine or something like that. You posted that on X, and I was like, damn, I don't recognize that guy. Then I was like, oh, damn, is that Randy?
Was that the feast day one?
Yeah, I think so. I think so.
That was 09, so I was 18, and it was definitely pre-Air Force. It was definitely pre-Air Force.
Awesome.
Thomas 06, hey guys. Hey Randy,
Yo,
what's
Atomic
going on?
06.
Yeah, so how was your Thanksgiving? Was there I told everyone, and like I feel like nobody listened, but I told everyone, like, guys, if there's any drama, you press record, you send that to me, you go live, you let me know. I want to know the tea. How was your Thanksgiving?
All good, man. All good. How about you? Just with family and very quiet, pleasant one. Really good times. How about you?
It was great. So I started by going to see a friend in the morning who I used to serve with. That was fun. We just chilled a little bit. Showed her a little bit of the Billion Dollar Babies, the true story of Cabbage Patch Kids.
Oh, nice.
So that was cool. I think she finished that like that night. Then I went to Lori Brennan's for a little bit, Queen VeVe.
How's she doing?
Got to chill
Great.
with her, husband Will, son Max, and we all just we hung out for a bit. I forgot last time, a couple months ago, I went to a Pitt game, the college, and because my friend's nephew plays for Pitt, and we went to Dave and Buster's afterwards, and I got enough tickets to get a Marvel Deadpool waffle maker, and
Nice.
I left it there, so they saved that
cool.
for me, which was nice, and I got something
Very
else
nice.
too, but it's not here right now. It's upstairs. And then we went to Lori's mom's, and her grandma came. There's a bunch of generations in that family.
Nice.
And then I went to Rita Baby and Dog Boy. I went to their place at night, and I had 12 stuffed mushrooms, so that was a lot. But he told me to. So what is a Chavez to do?
Well, congratulations to them. They got their VeVe Gold and Silver logo, and
They did.
they're
Yes.
all set. They're excited. They're in the group, so super excited for them. Congratulations. They've been, part of the VeVe fam for a very long time, and I think I made an exception for them to come out to the party. Kind of knew that they were on the list. They would get one. So congratulations. Hey Ernie, how's it going? It's great to hear you as well. See you here. It's amazing. Sorry to you guys who lost to University of Michigan today, but tough loss. But
he's still out. He left like 12 hours ago for it to go like tailgating and stuff. So he's still partying.
That's life, man. That happens. But I went to school at Michigan State, so we.
So do you watch college football?
I watch a fair deal. I know today was not a great day,
Yeah. So yesterday, I'm watching, me, Ernie, and his son Reagan. We're watching the Georgia Tech game, and Ernie had to get up early today to go to, all the stuff with the Michigan State versus Ohio State. And when he went to bed. It was like 10 o'clock, and I was like, all right, let me see the end of the game, the Georgia versus Georgia Tech, and then they tied it up, and I was like, okay, so we're tied now, going into overtime, and then in like the fourth overtime, like I'm used to watching just pro football, and I was like, okay, this is a lot. Took a picture, I posted it on X, and then they started just doing the 2-point conversions every play. And then by like the eighth, I'm like, oh my, like they started talking about the record, and I was like, do I wake everyone up to like witness history? But yeah, like an hour and a half later, after 8 overtimes, they finally ended it. That was nuts.
Yeah.
Anyway,
but big hello to everybody who's listening today. Thank you for tuning in. I mean, this is amazing.
Yeah,
Randy, it's always an honor to be
and
on your channel, brother. And some amazing OGs here today. Amazing OGs.
Yeah, there's a ton. I got 5 minutes, 100 people here. Gotta love that.
Yeah.
Shout out to the hey, there's me. Shout out to everyone coming in with their anime profile pictures. I think that's from Seven Deadly Sins. If I am not, if I'm wrong, correct me. But I guess that's one of the things I want to talk to you about as well. So there's a ton to go over today. VeVe grossed a ton, like 60K on the Punisher drop. They corrected certain wrongs. I know we're going to talk about a bunch of stuff, but I guess talking about anime, if you saw one, I love that VeVe's going and posting all of these videos. I think they post a record like 10 videos in 7 days on their YouTube channel, which is great. And one of them, I think it was David was talking about whatever he was talking about, and in the background, you see a little Dragon Ball Z Daima that Omar had given him. Speaking of Omar, good evening.
Hey Omar, how's it going? I like this guy, man. He's amazing. He's a super good guy, man. He's amazing. The amount of work he's done, man, is incredible. Like, you don't know, there's OGs on VeVe who just show up, like it's 2 a.m. in the morning in New York. I'm wondering, what am I going to do with all this Bose music equipment I've got, and it's lying in the hotel. I got to find a place to keep it. Our man, and I'm thinking, okay, I'll get Omar, ask him if he can take it in the morning. And Omar goes there at like 3, 4 in the morning, packs it up himself. I've packed a little bit of it. He lugs it all the way by himself to his apartment. And these are amazing guys, man. These are amazing guys. This is not light stuff. This is like heavy. There's a woofer, there's like speakers, there's microphone equipment. But thank you, Omar. There are people who show up for you, man. There are people in the VeVe fam who show up 4 a.m., man, 3, 4 a.m. in the morning. They'll show up for you and they'll take care of business, man. This is one of the guys, man. I have a lot of love and respect for people in the VeVe fam, a lot of love and respect. So thank you, Omar.
He's a beast. He's a true blue friend. I could probably ask him relatively anything, and within reason, he would do it just because he knows it benefits the greater community, and the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. Just awesome dude. Speaking of awesome people,
hey, look at that, VeVeversity, another one, man. She's amazing. She showed up, man. She showed up, and I needed so much help, man, in New York. So much help. I just, I just say, okay, I'm going to throw a party, and I have these big dreams, like I want to do this. I want 250 people. I want to do all of this stuff. And then I'm like, oh shit, man, like how do you welcome 250 people, right? How do you welcome 250 people? And some of them are celebrities, dude. Like we got so many people there, right? We've got Al Kahn there, Ron English and family there. We've got Josh Emmett there. So many people, man. So many artists. We've got the team, David, Dan. But VeVeversity, man, she showed up. She agreed to help, and she just worked, man. She and Sparky as well. They worked. That was amazing. So thank you, ladies.
Yeah, absolutely. Love those two. They're true champions. Unfortunately, Eva could not go to Vegas, where Sparky was at. Sparky sends a message. She's like, guys, I have to be at the airport in 30 minutes and I haven't packed yet. I was like, Sparky, what are you doing? You're coming. But VeVeversity, when I guess we booked the dates for the Airbnb wrong, and we only booked it for 1 night instead of 2, and we're like, oh god, where do we go? And VeVe was like, you guys come to my place, and we all just cuddled on the couch. So she opened up her place. She didn't have to, and that was awesome. So shout out to her for that. Turtle Golf, my man.
Yeah, man. Talk about this guy, man. He's something else. This guy is brilliant. He's amazing. He's brilliant. He's got a big heart. And, this is a guy who actually bid on the auction to buy, the VeVe gold and silver logo. I mean, he would have got one anyway, but he bid on it and he won it in an auction. And the charity went to Al's charity, to the First Responders Children's Foundation.
Link down below.
That's an amazing guy. That is an amazing guy. And then, when I was throwing the party, I was trying to figure out, hey, listen, we want like a charity element and a dimension to these VeVe gold and silver logo parties. There's a lot of love in the air. We want to do some good together as well. Man, our man shows up with this gift. It's like a week at Disney, and completely donated by Turtle Golf. Man, this is an incredible guy, man. That package might have been worth more than $5-6 grand. Might have, some might value it even at like close to 10 or whatever. And he puts this up, and then there's a whole bunch of VeVe people who kind of support it. And thank you to Michael. Michael actually won this in the auction, and that went to pretty much the whole thing went to the First Responders Children's Foundation. So thank you very much to all the VeVe fam that showed up. Turtle Golf, who actually donated, to Michael and others who kind of bid on it, and Michael who won it. But that's amazing, man. And I know Al and Jillian, they're very grateful to the VeVe fam for all of this stuff. I'm actually going to meet Jillian, by the way. So Jillian and the First Responders,
they're going down there soon. Her, Randy.
They're coming down December 3rd. They're going to be in Dallas, and I've been invited. So I'm going to go watch a Mavs game with the first RCF and with Jillian and with the team out here. Super excited about that, and then also dinner after that. So it's gonna be a very, very special and fun night in Dallas with them. But yeah, so
they've been talking very highly of you. I had Al on a couple weeks ago. I had Jillian on, I think, last week, and then I met Randy Acosta, one of the other members that's on board that I believe you know.
Yeah, I know Randy. I mean, I've never met Randy, but I've obviously chatted with him. So.
Oh, he's so cool. Yeah, he's really chill. And again, link down below, and maybe you'll be hearing more of them on my channel soon. I don't know.
Yeah, we've been chatting, so we'll see. Hopefully, there's some good news there as well after that meeting. So, what luxury band would you most like to see VeVe do a phygital partnership with that would be even better than Christian Louboutin, and how would you improve drop mechanic for such a drop? Man, I'm telling you, man, I want to see more Christian Louboutin. I want to see more of Demo Baza, but I would like to see Hugo Boss. That's my brand. I love Hugo Boss. I would love to see. I've tagged them several times. I don't know them. I would love to see Hugo Boss on VeVe. And just the whole Boss brand with all the imaging, the F1 series, all that type of stuff, and the tie-in with the cars and stuff, the formal stuff, the more informal stuff. And then I also like, who else? Varvatos.
Who is it?
John Varvatos. Have you heard of the Varvatos brand?
I don't think so. Educate me.
Oh my God, they do jackets. They do the best jackets. If you ever see me wear any jacket at those VeVe, most of my jackets at the VeVe events are all Varvatos. Okay. I love the cut is amazing. The material, the fabric is incredible. Would love to see it. Yeah, maybe, I'll pull it up sometime. I'll probably tag them on a couple of things and post some stuff. But yeah, that would be another great one. Randy, I don't know. Maybe this question is for you, man. Maybe not for me, but
probably for both of us.
Yeah.
So one of the things I think would be maybe not easy, but easier is, I would say, Tiffany and Company, because they did something with CryptoPunks already. So they're clearly open to the NFT and Web3 space.
Yeah.
They had recently gone on and they're trying to really go and get like the younger crowd just with that. Yeah. One of their most recent people that they partnered with is Anya Taylor-Joy. She's been in a ton of movies. I think most recently, a lot of the younger people would know her as the voice actor for Princess Peach in the Mario movie. I was really hoping that we would get something from Mario just because it was based on aluminum, I think, which I think we had a partnership with in another thing. But anyway, they seem to be very open to that. And that's something that it's like, okay, well, I understand the boots or the shoes that we had with Christian Louboutin because people were able to get the physical, so they're okay with digitals. But one of the reasons why I wanted to get one of those and why I wanted to get the number 41 Anna from Frozen because that's the first appearance, is because I think it was like $700, and I really should have gotten it. I think at the time I got like 1 million more OMI, which will be fine, and we'll talk about that later. But I just think that the Louboutin shoes on Anna would have been incredible. But for Tiffany, you have a bunch of different things that you can get. You can get pendants, you can get tiaras, you can get stuff for your necklace. Like, there's no piece of jewelry that you aren't able to get. You can get some ankle bracelets, and again, I think that would be cool for multiple reasons. It could be elegant for stuff like Elsa, Anna, anything that you have the desired lean body type, but then also you could put it on like a Frankenfat, and the ankle bracelet could be holding on for dear life, and that would be funny. So there's multiple ways you could use it. So I would say Tiffany & Company, but that's maybe Rolex. Obviously, you have people in the community like Dr.
that
Rolex.
would be a good one too. I love the Rolex brand as well. I mean, David's a big watch guy too, so I'm sure he's got that as top of mind too. So, I think the future with the VeVe-verse is accessories. Those accessories would be phygital in nature, where you can get a physical one for you to wear, and then also a digital one which your avatar can wear. That would be great. Before we switch, I want to switch to talking about the app. Really, I think that's top of mind for me. That's kind of top of mind for a lot of people in the VeVe community. There's a lot of pain there, and we really should talk about that. But just to round out this conversation, the whole VeVe-verse piece and the phygital piece is top of mind for me. Next year, the VeVe Gold and Silver logo party in New York is 10th October, and my plan is to have a fashion show there. So I'm already talking to a bunch of designers. I'm talking to David and a bunch of other people too. And the goal would be to ask VeVe if we can bring some of the top fashion brands on VeVe and do a fashion show in New York with some of the top models and designers and stuff like that. And also timed with some phygital kind of merch, So maybe there's some Marvel tie-in, and obviously that's a whole different animal, with Marvel and stuff. VeVe can work that out. But even otherwise, just with some other brands in New York, to do a drop where you can get some physical and digital both, and it ties into the VeVe-verse, so it can be broadcast in the VeVe-verse too, the whole fashion show.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Right? Yeah. I mean, the guest will always, the rule around the guest, right? It has to be a VeVe Gold and Silver logo holder or their family member, right? So, or an artist or something like that. So that criteria will stay in place, but maybe we can broadcast the fashion show part of it, on VeVe-verse. So that would be great. But anyway, I think it's a whole big thing, and we should talk about it in a different space as well, and maybe bring some brands in as well. I think Tokidoki would be amazing. I love some of the Tokidoki merch. That would be great. Jason Naylor has some great stuff too. That would be great. So a lot of other kind of people that we know that are into fashion and stuff we can bring in. All right, should we just switch to kind of talking about the app then? Randy,
just one more point on that is so if we were talking about like something in Miami with Art Basel, I think Art Basel's next week. Having it in conjunction with that would be great. I've had Benito Fernandez on the podcast. He's like one of the most prominent fashion designers, and he does stuff with Web3 in Argentina. He's done stuff for Disney. Just something like that. Again, Darcy Donovan.
What's the name again? Can you repeat that?
Benito Fernandez.
Benito Fernandez. Okay. All right.
Yeah, he's done some work for the UN, done work for Disney. He's okay. I think him and his son have a couple of VeVe NFTs. I don't know if they've been.
Oh, that's cool, man.
Yeah, he's really cool. So something like that would be great. We could definitely collab on that. That'd be fun.
I mean, that would be a vertical that you'd want to see there, right? Fashion.
Yeah.
Right? There's a separate vertical: comics, the collectibles, fashion and accessories, or something like that. And you can get all the stuff. Maybe the light sticks go in there, stuff like that. Anyway.
That'd be fun. I would love that. I would love to. There was like 2 years ago. Remember when I shaved my eyebrows?
Yeah.
Like a few weeks after that, everyone at New York Fashion Week, they had shaved eyebrows, and I was like, I'm a trendsetter. They did it. They did it because of me. Probably
and they should also do a drivables too, right? All the cars, literally put all the cars out and keep them in a separate bucket. Whether it's a motorcycle, whether it's a Lambo, whether it's a Back to the Future kind of thing, whatever. All the cars, bikes, everything. Or even if they remain in collectibles, show them together in one category. That would be nice, and have that ability to actually drive them. Obviously that requires some work, right, as well. So, but anyway,
Yes, the
Yeah,
app.
so switching gears, on the app, Randy, I think it's very, it's top of mind for people. I've seen a lot of reactions on X, in other channels, on Facebook. I've seen people who are normally very positive, tend to be, sort of either very quiet and doing their own business kind of thing, suddenly vocal or chatting. It's important to kind of talk about it,
Of course.
Maybe we should start with your thoughts. Randy, I mean, what do you like? What are your thoughts on the the new app that came out?
There's a couple of things. I mean, if we want to go over the positives first, it looks a lot better. The aesthetic and just the what's it called, the cosmetics. That's a major improvement. Then the augmented reality, that AR, it's easier to get
Yeah.
to, that type of stuff. It looks clean. And then you have, and there's other stuff that maybe I'm missing here. And if you want, just by all means let me know. But some of the stuff that other people have said, one of which is one of the main things is the listing dates. You can't sort by listing dates anymore. Now you can go in and search for a specific mint, and if you could, and while searching for that specific mint, it's great. You could have a range. You could just have it one. That's awesome. But unfortunately, you can't refresh it.
Mm-hmm.
So when you search it, you would have to go back in the app and then search it again. And that's just something that is not conducive. Like, let's say the 1971 today, that it had $1,000 bounty on from Comics and Crypto. And that's another thing. Some people, I don't want to say that they don't care, but it's not stopping them from continuing to buy, from continuing to mint on. They're still doing it. It's becoming a little harder for them. And yes, there are people that have said, "Hey, I can't do this. I won't work like this. This is just too stressful." Whatever. I understand that, and obviously, VeVe's had 2 app updates since the new app update. They had one like that same day, like a couple hours later, fixing whatever it is they were fixing, and they had another one I think 2 days ago as well, another app update. So they are working on it. Everything that have been complaining about, I guarantee you they're hearing 1,000 times over. I'm guaranteeing you that Ben has like all the complaints listed on like a playback over in the office, because you've seen him go over and have the team address things that maybe haven't necessarily been addressed head on before. Like, for example, one would be the VeVe verse, and saying like, "Hey, I think we could have communicated this a little bit better." He brings Dan on. "Don't you think, Dan?" And Dan says, "Yes, absolutely." And then as soon as the app came out and all of this happened, I think like 16 hours later, he brings Mitch on saying like, "Hey, what's going on?" And then he brings them out. And so the addressing and the communication of these issues have been handled a lot better. And I get that's a silver lining, and I'm not trying to make excuses, but that type of thing is something that VeVe hadn't done before. That's the type of thing that they were relying on the influencers, the people that are making the videos, to kind of explain away, and which we did happily. But now they're doing that, and you're getting those technical answers. Like, I don't know really coding. I mean, I know that certain times search buttons are, can be difficult, and but again, that wouldn't have been my expertise. That wouldn't have been my forte. But now he's bringing people on that are experts in those fields, that are explaining, "Hey, this is why we did X, Y, and Z." And again, those. But outside of that, the going into more of the things that need to be fixed, forcing people to get that new app, I don't think was good. And I don't know if that was even them. That could have been just iOS, and that could have been Google that have just forced people to update that app. But then you have the MCP points, which again, it's not too great of a pain, but it's not on your profile anymore. You have to go hit the top right button. You have to hit the profile settings, and then you see it. So is it a crazy amount of pain? No, it takes like 5 or 6 extra seconds. And the reason it takes that long is because the loading times, they're not, they were never instant, but it was like 1 or 2 seconds. And it is like 5 or 6 seconds now. And it's not to the point where I forget who did it, whether it was Apple or Amazon, where they shoved like $30 million into this research study to say that what is the point in which people will give up on loading times, and that happens to be 10 seconds. This is old data, is coming from like 4 or 5 years ago, so it might have changed since then. But at 10 seconds, people they give up. They're like, "Okay, I'm done. I'm not waiting any longer than 10 seconds." So it's not at that point yet. And I think that if this was tested with people internally, they're like, okay, it's not at that point. People will deal with it. And again, most of us are. It's fine. But that's one of the things that I've seen people. There was one person, and maybe this one person represents a minority of people, that had said like, no, the loading times are faster for me. So I don't know if that's contingent on where you are in the world. It's contingent on your internet, wherever it is. But that's one of those things. Another negative, but again, I'll turn this into a positive, is that on the article for the Punisher for this drop, which shout out to them for grossing $60,000 on this drop, was that they said that the first public mint was number 43. I mentioned that in a stream. I don't know why they did that, but they did. And I was like, okay, whatever. I kind of just dismissed it. But then you had the number 42 get minted. And I don't know if this is VeVe's plan from the start or if they pivoted, whatever it was. They said, okay, we reached out to the person that bought the number 43 because that was supposed to be that mint. We refunded them. We gave them a little something extra. And that person seemed to be fine with it. It was KC BMW.
KC BMW, yeah.
And he seemed pretty chill with it. He thanked Ben on the status that he shared from VeVe. Yeah. And whoever minted the number 42, and maybe they did it because of this. That post was saying like, hey, I know the first public mint is supposed to be number 43. Well, I just minted number 42. Somebody said they might claw that back. The person said they better freaking not. So maybe they would have clawed it back until they saw that comment, but then they pivoted. And this is the thing with smaller companies where you don't have a ton of red tape and they can operate somewhat independently. Maybe if they were a larger company, they would have had to say like, oh no, we do have to claw it back. And that amount to make that person okay with that would have been much greater than just compensating the person that bought the number 43. And they had done that and potentially saved, like 5 figures, whatever it is. I feel I've been talking for a while, so give me some of your thoughts here.
No, I mean, the great thoughts, by the way. I think you captured them very well. I think there are two different issues, right? The whole 43 versus the 42. Why is it not 41 as the lowest mint? That's a whole different issue. I mean, we'll probably talk about it later. I mean, I think the app issue is a more fundamental issue. I look at it, Randy, in two different ways. I look at it from the lens of collectors and people who are buying on the app. And then I look at it from the viewpoint of like a Ben who has to make a decision, who made the decision on this, right? It seems like. So when you think about it from the customer standpoint, there's no sugarcoating it. If you're like a serious collector, mint hunter, any of these buckets, right, on VeVe, you've grown used to the old app. You've come to rely on looking at auctions and looking at good deals, even if you were not specifically hunting for something. The whole mechanic of looking at which auctions are ending, what's a good price, and I want to snipe something. The whole thing about making deals with people and listing it. They have a whole mint hunters group. They list it, and then somebody goes and buys it right away. So the lag is not conducive to that. They want to see whose name it is. The profiles. They want to be able to. And they're, these are very active users, and they go into the app from many different angles. They go from a drop page into the market. They go from the market into the drop page. They go into profiles from every which way. And they want to sort in many different ways. And to begin with, they wanted more ways to sort it, right? And if you look at the sorting, one of the key features is the most recently listed one, right? I don't see that there now. You have the highest price, lowest price, mint, this, that, and the other. But so there's a lot of features that people are grown used to, and they were not in this thing. And I can see how somebody who's been on the app regular, loyal, spending a lot of money, making a lot of money too, being very disappointed and feeling personal about it. They're basically saying, look, like I've been here 3 years. If you had something that worked, and for you to kind of take it away from me is personal. Why did you do that? And why did you not kind of just wait and do it properly and all of that stuff, right? Or why didn't you just roll it back? I think those are all great questions and points. And I fully empathize with that. And they're right about a lot of those things, right? I mean, I guess if you're a new user, or if you're not infrequent, or if you're sort of just the guy who collects and not really mint hunting and stuff, it's not terrible, right? You come in, sure, you're not seeing the most recent drop in the first, but all of us, we look at the drops, and we're used to scrolling 4 or 5 this way, that way to kind of find what we want to anyway. And so that's not a big deal breaker. If it's something that gets fixed in 2 weeks or 4 weeks or whatever, it's not a big deal. And then you're able to buy, you're able to load the gems, you're able to discover it, you're able to buy it, all of that stuff. You're able to list it, you're able to delist it. It's giving you the floor price while you're doing it. It's letting you sort it in a few different ways. And the AR is really good, right? I mean, think about the way the AR works. It's really good, man. Like, I do a lot of AR stuff, even if I don't post any of that stuff, just to have those circles and put it, and then very quickly, bang, 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 it kind of goes, you can save it, and it gives you the video capture. See, for those people, they don't feel as much of it. They're a little more silent on it. They're basically saying, look, I got what I get out of it, I get. But there's, people who are genuinely upset about it, and they feel very personal. So that's one aspect of it. There's also a fear, right? That group has been here a long time. They also have a fear in them that, man, when you ask VeVe to do something, it takes forever and ever and ever and ever, right? Is this going to be 6 months that I'm going to have to live without this? Is it going to be a year if I'm going to live without this? Is it going to be a fight to get it back? Is this something that they're going to even take seriously? So those are all kind of deep, call it PTSD if you want to, or call it whatever you want to. And they're valid, they're valid things, man. Yeah. Like we've waited for VeVeverse for a very long time. We've waited for a lot of functionality for a very long time. So there's no denying that, there's those fear factors exist in this population, and I completely understand that. I'm very empathetic to all of those things too. Now, there's another element to this, which, look, I've run businesses before. I'll look at this from Ben's point of view, and possibly, whoever else made this decision with Ben, right? And I presume it's Ben who's made it, but he's had the support of David and Dan, and they probably support him with this. And if you think of it from that lens, I heard Ben today say, this app and the update in this app, the work done in this app is critical to the evolvables. So this whole drop around Punisher, which is, where you craft and then it's multi-stage, right? You're basically crafting, you're burning, and then getting, using some points, MCP points together to, this other thing, and then you're doing another one, another one, another one. So for that to work, they needed this version. So my sense is that Ben had a decision point in front of him that said, look, either we delay evolvables and everything else that it's leading to, that it drives after that, delay all of it and work only on the app and get the app to work properly. And it's not like they don't understand collectors. It's not that they don't understand this parity. This is this is not like, hey, let's not create a tab for auctions. Let's not do this. Let's not do this. That's not true, man. That is just simply not true. And I know that because I've had a chat with, not just me, like the level hundreds have had chats with VeVe design team and stuff, and they're very thorough on these things, man. So they're not, I'm 100% certain that this was not a case where they said, okay, screw it, we'll worry about it, we won't do this. To me, when I think about it from a Ben standpoint, he's basically got this decision where he's saying, look, either I do this evolvables thing now on this new app with some basic functionality, all of which works with some exceptions, like, the load times are slow or whatever. And even that, maybe they didn't quite have a handle on it because there was not really that load testing, like some things you can only see in production, and maybe they didn't simulate it or whatever. Or they need to, get the app fully done, right? And then kind of worry about all this evolvable stuff. And I think, personally, I think that this evolvables technology and this whole thing on the new app is built to enable something else. I don't know for sure. I don't work for VeVe. I don't have any insider knowledge. But I'm almost certain that this technology will get used for something tied to MCP. We have given them. We have personally begged David. I mean, Michael Campa was very clear with the VeVe team that, look, I have all this MCP and it's freaking worthless. And you need to do something about this MCP thing. And that feedback was earlier in the year, and they listened to it, And my belief is that they've gone and worked with Marvel, and they've gone and worked with others, and they've basically created this whole mechanism to take MCP to the next level with this technology. And they've got some things lined up, is my guess. And when you think about like a Ben's decision, it's very Amazonian in nature, where you say, look, either we'll make a long-term decision or a short-term decision.
Yeah.
You know, the short-term decision, a good one would be, let's delay all those other long-term things. Let's get the app fully ready. Let's get everything done, and then let's worry about it. That's the short-term decision. The long-term decision is, we need that evolvables technology to work. We need MCP to work. We have an app. It's got some of the basics in it. We'll fix it in a finite period, which is 3 to 5 weeks, maybe 6 weeks, right? And it's not like all or nothing. We'll keep fixing it. In fact, it's a good thing because now we can get input from these guys and we can work with them to design it in the ways in which these guys want to see it, right? And so, you know, I think he's made a decision that's a long-term strategic decision. He's not sacrificed the long-term for some short-term kind of stuff. And I think he owns the issues. You know, he's basically said, look, man, like, fine, I had to make this call. Now I'm listening to you guys. There's MC and him. Do you know how much time he spent in Spaces listening, him and the team?
Oh, it's
like insane.
I've noticed an incredible amount of people. Like back in the day, and I don't want to take away from this, but back in the day, if VeVe was listening to a Spaces, it would get shared like no other because, oh, guys, VeVe's listening. And now, again, I don't want to take away from the specialty that what Ben is putting on, but Ben's listening to a bunch of Spaces, and it's almost, I don't want to say guaranteed, but it's almost like it's pretty normal. And there's even Spaces that he's doing or that he's listening to and speaking on that have nothing to do with VeVe, but he's going, have you seen any of those Spaces?
Yeah, some of them. I was in O'Malley space. I tuned into Mainzies for a little bit. You know, I didn't hear Ben speaking. I heard he was going in and out or whatever. But yeah, I mean, there was like he's been a whole tour. Yeah, he's gone to Collectors Gone Digital. He's spoken to like a lot of people. But yeah, you know, like Randy, one thing, you know, if you think about this whole thing, so there's no easy way to sugarcoat it, right? Yeah. You can't turn back. If you're Ben, you can't turn back the clock. You have to make a decision moving forward, and you got a fork in the road. Either you do, you know, take another month and a half to fix the, you know, app and then do evolvables, or you need to do the evolvables because that technology is enabling some new drop, some new thing, you know, that's important. And maybe there's, we will never know if there was some contractual thing about the IP, you know, going out, if the IP holders wanted it done by a certain day, or if something else, you know, or it had to push out something else. We don't know those things, right? But Ben made that call, and Ben owns that call. And, you know, it's not a great, you know, as a leader, you're going to feel all the pain, and he's taking the pain. He's owning it. He's like, look, I had to do this. You know, we went with an app where you can do the drop, you can bring your money, you can do the AR and stuff. But I understand that we've disappointed a lot of collectors with some feature functionality that's not there. And we're going to build it now. And my sense is, man, it's 3 to 5 weeks. They haven't put a date. They never put a date. And they're going to keep every week or every couple of days, they're going to do some releases with some things. They've already speeded it up, by the way. You know, the apps become a little faster, and they're fixing a few more things. So I don't know the full schedule of that. But anyway, look, if we want Ben, and I know the people. I know the people. You know, it's not. They're not doing anything bad. There are people who are saying, if we keep screaming all day long, they'll reverse it and they'll go back to the old app. And I don't think that will happen. Period. I just don't think that'll happen because it's critical to the evolvables. It's already started. They can't pause this whole thing, and you know, you're better off. It's like, you know, there's a storm in your area, the power goes out, right? Now you got candles and shit. You know, it's kind of what it is, man. I think this is a short-term thing. It's a couple of week kind of thing to get to parity. You know, we don't know what full parity would mean, but they'll definitely attempt to get some parity in the weeks to come. Hopefully by end of the year, you know, in another few weeks, they'll have most of the parity done, or at least some of the parity done. And, you know, maybe there's other ways in which you can mitigate some of these things, right? Like, for example, yeah, I would like to see which sets are incomplete. Well, if you're on Stacker, there's a view where you can see which sets are incomplete. And you can also see which ones have not even started and which ones are you started and you're not completed. And you can see the finishing cost based on the floor price. So, you know, there may be some things like that would have to enable. There's probably, you know, some features that are needed more, you know, faster than others. And VeVe can kind of prioritize those after listening to people. But I don't think it's worth this whole big fight about let's go back to the old app. I think that ship has sailed. it just should literally say, by the way, I do have the old app because I didn't, I keep one device, one iPad in the house. I always keep
Wait, it
without
didn't
any
automatically
refresh.
update for you?
No, mine doesn't automatically refresh. You can change that. So I have one of my iPads. I have multiple iPads, but I have one iPad where I just turned off all updates. And I've also, there's a one setting which says if you update an app on another iPad that's connected,
Yeah.
then update this one too. I even switched that off. So this one truly is standalone where it does not. I have the old app.
And does the old app update, or does the old app work with the evolvables drop?
I haven't tried that. I haven't tried it. Yesterday, I kind of got a little scared as well. So what I was trying to do was, I said, let me put the old app and the new app, side by side on two different devices, and let me go start the whole journey, same identical flow, open the app, go to the drop page, buy now, for the comic. I was trying to do the Guardians Galaxy comic, buy now, do this, that, and the other. And what happened was I hit the buy now on both simultaneously, and then I had a red screen flash saying you can't, you can't buy. Like it basically thought I was a bot or something, because I was kind of like, how can you have two kind of buy nows right away? I freaked out. I'm like, oh shit, I better stop this. I abandoned the experiment. I'm like, I don't want my account to blow up. I don't want to be, in the doghouse with these guys. But yeah, anyway, but I did a screen capture on the new app and I posted it. But look, guys, I think this is a case where you can never be in Ben's shoes and understand what that decision is. He had to make a tough decision. It's a suboptimal decision. It absolutely impacts people. And now, we as a community have to provide the feedback. I don't think, everybody can do what they want. You can scream, you can shame them, and you can name and shame them. You can compare and shame them. You can, call them names. You can do all of those things, right? And I think they filter out some of the name calling and stuff. But, I think if you're a true collector on VeVe, you want to focus on your starting point is where we are today, and you want to basically make sure they understand which things in that list you need next week versus in 2-3 weeks versus in a month or 5 weeks or whatever. And in all of this, I think there also has to be a little bit of an understanding. We're all used to old pairs of shoes and old pairs of jeans. It's you go and buy 5 pairs of jeans, new ones, you'll still wear the old ones most of the time till that damn thing gets a hole, and then you'll start wearing the new one. Same thing with shoes too. So we all have lots of shoes, and that's the way it's human nature, man. But I think we have to make an attempt to understand that some things are going to change, and it's had to change, man. Like, we're going to have more categories, we're going to need to do crafting, we're going to have like, the app has to cater to new users. The first page is not for us. The first page is not for us, man. It's for new guys. It should have something bright and shiny, should have the most recent drop coming up. It should have all the encouraging things on it. It should have very clearly, here's the market, here's the auctions. Oh, if you want to do AR, here it is. It should have some, tutorial kind of buttons and, hey, learn a little more. It should have all the social media, for anybody who just wants to kind of be cool about it, filters and whatever, those kind of things, right? Points, gamification, hey, messaging, all the cool stuff. I mean, this should be for those guys, for the veteran collectors and seasoned guys, we need some real functionality, which tells you which are the auctions, which one's ending, what's the floor on this, get us more stuff, more ways to sort them. I wasn't, like, even the old app, I'm not happy with the ways in which we sorted them anyway, to begin with. And the lag and all that stuff. So those things all have to get addressed. So anyway, let me pause there, Randy. I mean, I wanted to address it from both sides,
Yeah, of
and
course.
For people who are still fighting it, you fall in two buckets. One are the people who are just going to keep fighting it because they want to fight it. And there's people who genuinely are, upset, but want this to work, And really my message is to the people who genuinely want it to work and start working on it, start working with a team on it and get it done. Because we're all here to collect. We have big collections and we need this to work.
I think there's a difference between those people that, let's say you have the people with legitimate concerns and can understand the difference between short-term and long-term decisions.
Yeah.
And then there's people that can't. And it reminds me of that Thanos quote from Avengers Endgame, where he says, as long as there are those that remember what was, there will always be those that are unable to accept what can be.
Yeah.
And there's some people that just don't like change, and they're just like, I want that back. This one's confusing. And I get it. Anything that's new is hard to go in and get used to. Like every time, and sometimes it sucks at first. Like anyone that has a Tesla, every new update that you get for full self-driving is automatically worse than the previous version.
Yeah.
But after a couple of weeks, it gets infinitely better. Yeah. And you just have to live through that to understand. And I think what also people don't understand is what you were saying is that he could have made a executive quick decision, swung his new co-CEO thing about and said, okay, we're going to go back to the old app until we fix this. And that would have short-term helped the users, because in the week that we've had since the update, there were several days where the amount of users that were active were under 1,000 a day.
Yeah.
Where in the previous week, there was never any day that had under 1,000 active users. And obviously, if Ben's compensation package is going to be tied to users, short term, he should have made that decision. But if you go long term and say, no, this is the correct thing to do, because and I want to say long term, I'm going to talk to the Web3 crowd, because to them long term is like 3 months. But long term in the next 8 to 15 months, give or take, that's what's really important. It doesn't. I don't want to say that the short term doesn't matter, because obviously it does, but that long term is infinitely more important, because people are going to forget the bad times once OMI takes off, once marketing comes in. I mean, he's hired like 7 new people for marketing.
Yeah. So like I had a meeting with an informal meeting with one of the Marvel guys in New York Comic Con. So somebody told me, hey, this is a Marvel guy. That turns out he's one of the senior most guys working with VeVe. So I talked to the guy, and I'm like, hey, listen, I'm trying to create this Marvel logo thing, and what I would really like is to have something that's super scarce, bespoke, built for the group, blah blah blah. So he said, oh, so what do you mean by scarce? And I said, well, like I want 1 in 25 kind of artwork, 1 in 20, 1 in 10, this type of artwork, and Marvel related, and crafting, and this, that, and the other. So I started talking to him about all these things that we want, right? I want digital, I want tickets to this, that, and the other. So put a long list. So he said, look, I can't say anything now, but if you're looking for some very, very scarce, special stuff, just wait till next year. And, so.
Okay.
Like, I'm not going to probe him. I don't want to be an insider, because then it seriously affects my ability to kind of be neutral and do all my shit, right? Like, so I never want to be an insider. There's some few things where I'll test something and I'll sign an NDA. Those things I won't say anything. But here, he didn't tell me, I didn't probe. But, clearly they have some plans to do some stuff, and my sense is that they've heard the community as well. MCP is very important. I mean, we have to be able to use MCP along with crafting to do stuff in various ways. Craft to burn, craft to buy, craft to this, and craft to craft, and then craft to craft to craft to get something. All that kind of stuff. So I don't, I'm supportive of short-term pain to get there. And, it might mean that we might have to rely on Stacker a lot more for some basic functionality. It might mean that we give VeVe feedback on the things that we want to see like next week versus 2 weeks from now. And obviously, if that next week ends up being 3 days or 10 days, we don't control that, but we have to be clear on some degree of prioritization. Like I see a lot of the mint hunters very upset, and they're angry, and they're like, so talk about the 41 issue, right? Or 42, 43 issue. I mean, this is a new version of the app. Maybe they have a couple of new guys working on this app, and the new guy made a mistake, right? Like, so the new guy made a mistake.
But there's also something where And I'm so enthralled in this, and I'm in this fishbowl where I live and breathe VeVe. So I'm like Sauron. Every single new thing that happens, I'll be aware of it. So it's hard for me to kind of judge, especially with new people. But it's not like they've been working on this app for 2 months, and the one person that's working on it has been so enthralled that they haven't. They've been working on this for several months.
Randy,
should know that the number 41 is.
Randy, I'm with you on this. Okay, so that issue speaks to a multiple number of failures, right? First, the design. Why is it not designed at 41? Now, that mint size, it's always been 41 as the first public mint. 40 is what they keep, right? Like why the F did it change to 42, right? Or 40. Like that just doesn't make sense. Like why are you doing this random shit, right? It confuses people. So the design was an issue, right? Then the coding was an issue. Then the guy who's checking it is an issue. And then after it launched, it's still, somebody had to tell them that that's an issue. It didn't get caught. And then there's, that's something they'll take away. They'll have to understand what went wrong and fix it. But my point I was trying to make is people are so angry now, right? They're saying this is a scam to cheat people, to fool them into something about the mints. And there was a couple other errors too, by the way. I don't know if you know this, but the app was not updating the number of collectibles that were left, that were not minted, right?
For which one?
Remaining?
For
both.
the special edition?
The main common one, it was not updating. The other one too, the special one, right?
Okay. Yeah, the special one I couldn't find.
There were only 63 out of the 140 that were in circulation, and then it's 65. But the app was showing 0, left.
Yeah.
And so, there were people really upset saying, hey, this is a scam, this is that. I mean, look, VeVe's not going to try and do those stupid games on one drop. And they've had like 10 million collectibles. They're not, if they had to screw you over, they've tried it a long time back. It's a lot of anger in people's voices coming out. And, anger is justified in many ways. But just one thing, cool your horses. This is not like some kind of a scam project. These guys are here, they're working. This is some, mistake that was made. They'll dig into it, what various things went wrong, they'll fix it. And they'll also do right by where the error happened, right? So they went to the guy, KC BMW, and literally within, I think, a matter of an hour and a half, they connected with him and said, look, we'll give you back the money. I know there's people who believe, well, that was deep emotional trauma, so let's give him like whatever, more stuff and this, that, and the other. And dude, I don't want to get involved in that, but I think just make it right, Make the situation right. I think they've done right by the user. Could they have done more right? Maybe, but I don't want to get involved in that. At least they made that right.
Agreed.
So, look, the whole VeVe's a scam, VeVe's this, that gets old, man. That just turns me off. And then especially when you have people who are on the app extensively saying that after 3.5 years because of one drop, something happened. Come on, guys.
Yeah.
Just go for a walk, freaking take a shower, cool off, come back with a positive mindset and let's get going at it again,
From my time in sales, I've learned that sometimes you just have to let people bitch and moan. And you could say hey, I didn't know these payments are every day. I didn't know like whatever.
Yeah.
And then you just have to let them go off and blow off some steam. And then after that, they're fine. They just agree to whatever you say. They just needed to get that out. It's like when Mr. Rogers is talking about the king in the land of make-believe. He says when he blew through his trumpet, he maybe blew out some of his madness. And that's what people need to do. And I get it that sometimes mistakes happen. Reminds me of 2018 when H&M had the shirt. It happened to be this, the shirt was like a monkey on a jungle gym, and it happened to say the coolest monkey in the jungle. And it happened to have a black kid wearing that shirt and donning it, fashioning it. And clearly, if you just look at cool monkey, awesome. Yeah, I'm cool. But then some of the people oh, wait a minute, are you calling? And, there was that some people were interpreting it as racist, including H&M is not. It just happened to fall through some cracks. Nobody that was into that. So I understand that things happen. I do have to go to the bathroom, but I'll leave you with this comment as I go, where Asuk says, what do you think about the development process? With him having 15 years of developmental experience, adding refresh and ordering the latest listing shouldn't take more than an hour. Can you think of reasons why or why not? Talk about that, and I will BRB real quick.
Yeah, sounds good. Asuk, you know, a lot of respect for this guy, man. He's one of the top whales. He's also a very, very bright, sharp technologist, has his own business. And I agree with you. You know, I don't quite understand why reordering the page, you know, to have the next, it's not the most recent drop, it's the most recent next drop that has to show up. And to reorder that should not take that long. But I presume, you know, so there must be some process internally where they have to kind of, you know, the developers are not going to act on it based on some manager telling them something. You know, they probably, given all the reaction and the feedback from the team, they probably want to just make sure that they're getting some input from the leadership and making sure they're aligned and this, that, and the other. And they're probably also saying, look, we probably have to take the quality check up a little bit, you know. Yeah, sure, it might take an hour, but let's kind of, anyway, I don't want to pull any excuses for them. I wasn't there, I don't know. So it's a good question to ask them. Like, why don't you go and change it in an hour? Like literally, like the feedback was given on Thursday, the drop happened on Saturday. So you had 48 hours to basically reorder it so that on the discovery page or the discover page, the Punisher drop was number one, not the Guardians of the Galaxy or any other thing, right? So it's a great point, man. We should, you know, that's a good question for Ben and or Mitch. Hey, why could you not fix that in 48 hours? That's like the first thing on the top of the page. It's the most relevant thing for the drop. Why would you not fix that first, right? Great question. I don't know the answer. And maybe if the answer is no, we couldn't do it because of this, this, and this, the whatever is the this, and this needs to be fixed, right? Yeah. So it's a good point.
A couple things there. One of the other things I noticed that, so stackers seem to be largely unaffected. And one of the things I noticed is that somebody had 39 editions of these Punishers, and maybe they're planning to burn a couple of them. Then the next person's 35. Mad Murdoch had 34, all the way down to Mr. Rolex that had 24. Standoff Chart had 21.
Yeah.
And you said you had 12 of them before you got the special edition.
Actually, I got it in 5. I just didn't realize because I kept buying them.
Oh, wait, it didn't tell you?
So I bought like 12 of them, right? So it was the morning, man. Like I took a shower, I came out of the shower, and I was like, you know, shit, I probably had not worn a shirt too. You know, I was just wearing my trousers and everything. I had this thing. This is like, it's on time. I'm all stressed because, you know, I still get this FOMO whenever there's a VeVe drop. So I'm like, oh shit, man. Like, will the button refresh? Like, how do I get more of them? Should I do it on the web app? Should I do this? Should I do that? Then I opened up my iPad, the other iPad, which is on the new version, and then I started doing it. So then I just kept buying. I'm like, you know what? I don't know whether this thing will sell out or not. I want to make sure I have enough. And then after that, after I finished all of it, I went to my, you know, in the new app, it was actually pretty cool. So in the new app, at the bottom, you have Discover, and then you have collectibles, right? So, or my collection or whatever. So I clicked on that, and the first two were these two different boxes. One was the common, and one was the limited edition. One had 11 on it, and the other one had 1. And then I clicked on, you know, the one that was limited edition first, and it said 38. So like, it's pretty cool. So new app kind of worked in that sense. But yeah, you know, and I like the confetti too. It kind of drops some confetti and shit when you
I love that also.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. It did on the comics. I didn't on the collectibles. I'm not sure. I was kind of moving pretty fast, so I probably didn't stop to kind of wait for the confetti shower. But yeah, but anyway, that's kind of what that was all about.
Yeah, they had the confetti. Even if you buy something off the market, I bought a comic the other day off the market. It was like $6, and I still had that confetti. So I thought that was cool. They added that, but they took away when you get to a new level. I just recently got to level 67. And they normally have, like, when you open up the app, a confetti thing. And they didn't have that. A little sad I didn't get to see that. Anyway, shout out to VeVe for being here. Thank you for coming by and promoting. It's always nice.
Can we talk about the team for a minute, man? Like, I know, you know, for everybody at VeVe that's worked on it, there's no reason to hang your head in shame or anything, guys. If you know, or take it personally, you know. Like, the community is a little upset. The collectors are very upset. But I think, you know, when you think about it, there's a lot of goods that came out of it, right? There's a new app. It's got the category separately. Granted, it's not perfect. Granted, there's a lot of issues to be fixed still to get it to parity, but the AR and other stuff is great. The whole other parts of this app in terms of the wallet and all that other stuff is good. Seeing the artwork in the app is good. Those are all kind of good wins, I think. And I'm quite confident that the VeVe team will get the stuff done in a few weeks, maybe 3 to 5 weeks. They'll get most of it done is my guess. And, it's time for peace, guys. It's time to get this, focus on getting this app to the next level in terms of parity. Everybody's heard everything. We need parity now, right? We need the parity for a number of features for our collectors and for mint hunters and stuff. Let's focus on that. And at the same time, let's celebrate, man, the ability to use MCP for crafting in various new and different ways. And, the whole evolvables, right? That's a win. I would say it's a win. Granted, they didn't get a couple of things are glitchy, right? Like the remaining was not correct. The lowest mint was not correct. The article wasn't correct. And there's a few things there. They can get that right. But by and large, the technology works, right? The drop worked, the drop mechanic worked, all of that stuff. So I know there was one comment about one user got 2014, 16, and 17 or something like that. The same user got it.
They had the three. They were.
Yeah, but they were not consecutive. I mean,
they weren't.
They weren't consecutive. Maybe that user got it consecutively, but I saw the blockchain data.
Okay.
But they were close. They were relatively close, right? Yeah. It's like you're sitting on a card table, man. If you get the 6 of hearts, the 8 of hearts, and the 9 of hearts, the first question you had is, did they fucking shuffle the deck, right? It's like, did you shuffle the deck with the cards stuck together? How did that happen?
Yeah, sometimes odd things happen. I've seen it before in Pokemon, where you have every piece of grass you go over, you have a 10% chance of an encounter. And this one dude it was on live stream for 90 seconds, so it wasn't edited. And it's like a 1 in 3 trillion chance. So I've seen insane things happen before.
Yeah.
One of the things
it's worth checking anyway. Are there any other 3 mints that are successive that hit, right? Or was it just those 3 mints for that user? It's very easy to check, even if you go through the blockchain and just look, all you got to do is kind of eyeball it all the way down, and you can see if there's a 815 and 816 and 817, or there's a 1000 something something and something something, all kind of there's a pattern to it where there's all the 1000s are dropping together and the 2000s, or there's something. Now there may be some random stuff there. And if you really want, there's a random, I should run analytics for Visa, man. There's a way to check randomization. So they can check that, They can run a random randomizing check, and they can check all that stuff too. So, but I don't think, at least when I looked at the data, it didn't feel like there was any other sort of successive mints that were close together going into somebody's wallet. And, it just happens, man. Sometimes it just happens like that, Yeah.
Of course. So there's something else I want to go over as well. I posted before, as I do every time whenever I remember.
Randy, can I make one more point?
Yeah, sure.
One more point on this topic. In the past, various groups of people have said, can you pull out mint number, randomly 5, mints that are 41 through 60, and can you make it available to the whitelist or whatever, the pre-order, people that are in the wait list or whatever, right? Can you make it available to people? Can you pull it? Do it for some group. Hey, can you do that for master collectors, who use their points? Can you use points to bid on it? When I ran a space in June, and this is one of the ideas was, can you pull out some good mints and make them available to people who put points, bid points on it? David shot that down within 30 seconds.
What did he say?
Seconds.
Why? Did he say why?
Here's what he said. He said, I never want to change the integrity of a drop. The random, the beauty of VeVe is anybody can get those mints, and it should be like that, So he really, you may have a whole drop for some kind of weight, but the mint number thing, he's completely against it. he literally shot it down. He's like, that's a non-starter. I mean, so he does not believe in pulling good mints for somebody or some group and, pre-buying them, enabling them, whatever it is. Never say never, right? If Ben wants to go that direction, or if Marvel forces David to go that direction. But I know that David does not want to ever do that. And so he believes in the integrity, that randomization of mints. Now, all of us, someday or the other, we would have hit the button by now like 100 times when the odd was like 1:24 and we didn't get the secret rare and we know it's rigged, and we say something or whatever. It's not, dude. Like, it's just not. I'm telling you, it's not.
There's I mean, I would like it, whether it's for MCP or maybe OMI eventually.
Yeah.
I would like that, because MCP is so hyperinflationary. People get millions like every day. I feel like you need to have drops where, and this is why I really like the evolvables drops, because you're able to go and burn those MCP points. That was one of the reasons, one of the utilities for OMI. Oh, if you run out of MCP, you're able to use your OMI to buy these bronze tickets, trade those bronze tickets in for MCP. And we just haven't gotten there yet. I think at some point over the next several months, they'll be able to put things that make MCP hyper deflationary, and then this way we can go in and we're gonna have that utility for OMI. Something I wanted to ask, because I feel like people, they hear certain things from me a lot, and it's, if you don't learn that way, they might need another perspective over here. Every time VeVe does a pretty good job, either when I'm live or when I remember, or when they have a decent sale of like 30K and above in like the first hour or whatever, I'll post about it. And obviously we've had now 60 something $1,000 raised from that initial drop 9 hours ago. But at the time I said, like, hey, shout out to them for grossing like 40 grand in like 20 minutes. And somebody said to me, this is a weird thing to celebrate. I had mentioned that if we want the company to have continued success, we should celebrate when they make money. It's a better alternative than to them not making money. But could you put that in your own words, just for people to kind of just better understand, in case I'm explaining it the wrong way?
I mean, if you look at it from your point of view, you want $80,000 worth of merch to come for free, right? Everybody wants that. Right?
I mean, I just want the company to make money.
VeVe will be out of business, right? So it doesn't make sense. So, this is one where it has to be a win-win for three different parties, right? The licensor has to win, VeVe has to win, and we have to win too. And for that to work, right, there has to be some part of the economics that the licensor gets to reward them for what they've done. There has to be some part of the economics that rewards VeVe for what they do. And there's got to be upside after that in the market for all of us to make money on that too, or, be up on it, or whatever you want to call it, right? Whether we sell it or not. And for that truly to happen, all three parties need to work together. So I think it's okay to celebrate everybody winning kind of thing. I mean, if you call out Randy, like on this drop, you can call out VeVe for saying they made 60,000 or whatever it is. I mean, that's great. But think about it. We as collectors got an incredible quality FA drop for 20 gems. When was the last time you got an FA of that high quality for 20 gems, man? Like that's like, Black Friday sale, man. Like that's like a deep discount. Those collectibles are never less than $60 or $50. Never. Like, never. I mean, to get that for $20, I mean, I guess people may be upset. I don't want to reward this company for what they've done, and that's cool, dude. Like, whatever you want to do, right? At the end of the day, I'll tell you one thing. To get just one, forget the crafting, forget all that stuff, to get just one of these for $20, I think is a tremendous value. And time will tell, because I know that a lot of these will get burnt for uncommons and then burnt for rares and ultra rares and secret rare. We don't know how that whole math will I guess we do know how the math will work if it's fully used, right? But we don't know how fully used it will be, and what's left, and what the price will be, and if there's any other mechanisms after that. But I think it's a win for us as collectors. I think the whole ability to get a special edition common was also amazing. So it's not just the guy who gets to the secret rare who wins. there's a lot of people who hit the buy now for $20 who got the limited edition on the first shot. And it's what, $600, man? $700? I don't know if you sell it right now. And yeah, so I think my point being, yes, it's not weird to celebrate VeVe's win, but you might want to celebrate us too. You know what I mean, Randy?
Of course. I mean, yeah, even something like for me, the most collectible I have is the alligator Loki common.
Oh yeah.
I have like 200 of those. Those were sold at like $40.
Yeah.
And you had the ultra rare and secret rare that you could get that were super scarce. And yeah, like I said, I have 200 of those. So these you get. What I also think what really helped this is that they didn't show the teeth. A lot of time the teeth was the thing that was a chief complaint about people, where it was, whether it was America Chavez or it was She-Hulk, whatever it was, that or first appearance Thor, that happened to be a chief complaint that they didn't like it. So instead of trying, and whatever they did, they said like we could make it better, it would just take more time, but they just took it out of it. They just had him not smile, not grin, whatever, not make that face. So I think we should really kind of give VeVe their flowers as well, saying like, okay, you can't complain about the teeth if there are no teeth, like that meme. So that was really special. I think what would have actually helped us do even more is if you had special editions for the uncommon and the rare as well. Now, I think the secret rare and the ultra rare, those will mint out just from burning and crafting. But the uncommon and the rare, they don't have that special chase. If they would have something, I think that would be cool. I think that would help this mint out.
Maybe. Can I ask you a question though? I have a question.
Yeah, sure.
So people who bought the common and got it for $20, right? Minted it for 20 gems, are selling it for $9. Yeah. They're selling it for $9 before all of them get burnt. A lot of them get burnt for the rares and the, for the uncommons and the rares and the ultra rares and stuff. So why would you not wait till it becomes scarce and then list it? Because you already bought it. You spent the $20. Do you think it's going to go any lower than $9, or do you think people need the cash? Like, why would you sell something before it's burnt?
There's two people here. There's some people that maybe had like, hey, I have 200, 400, 800 gems that I'm going to spend, and I'm going to buy as many as I can in order to try to get the special edition. And if they don't get it in 20, it's like, okay, well, I don't mind taking the loss at this. I could sell 2 or 3 of them, get more gems to another role, and maybe they do that. And because if this is just something that was, I don't want to say found money, but if they already earmarked this to try to get the secret rare, and they already have multiple, they don't care if they sell another 15 at a loss, as long as they get that chance for that secret rare or the special edition. It's worth it if they get it, because 1, it's like $600 to sell, and then 2, it's only 140 something mints. So even if they don't sell it, and at least they have it, it's a flex. You could likely sell it for maybe 1,000, 2,000 over in the future when that NFT narrative comes back. And then you have those people that are just, well, I don't have, like, they only bought 1, but then they'll sell for a loss because of impatience. But that is another thing I wanted to go over with you, is that the NFT market does seem to be back. You have CryptoPunks, which the floor price is now close to 150,000. Bored Ape Yacht Club at 69,000. Everyone comment nice down below with the 69. Pudgy Penguins, the floor is 50,000. And we could go over like a dozen of these where all of them are up 50, 80, 300%.
They all tried to Bitcoin and ETH and stuff, man. That's why those are up, right? And I think it's a slightly different rail than the VeVe rail, I think. But I'm hoping that that success in that space, like I was talking to Mr. 41. Mr. 41 has a Bored Ape, and he's a very big part of the Bored Ape community, and he goes to all the Ape Fests. He's done the one in Hong Kong, and I don't think he went to Portugal because he was in New York. He values NYC, the VeVe Gold logo more than the Ape Fest in Portugal. Just saying. Mr. 41, there you go, brother. But point being that, that he knows that community well. He basically said, look, Mr. MC1, I've had a number of people with Bored Apes come to me and ask questions about, hey, is there something I should be picking up here? What should I pick up? I mean, I don't know if any of them came in, but the inquiries are there. I think it's just a matter of time, especially if Bitcoin goes and hits. I mean, we have our people collect, our people have a lot of Bitcoin and stuff, right? I think Bitcoin and ETH, like we have a lot of Bitcoin and ETH whales and dolphins or whatever you want to call them in our ecosystem. I mean, I don't want to take no names. I don't want the government to kind of hold in on anybody here, but there's a bunch of guys who have a lot of stuff, right?
Yeah.
When their stuff pops, and then that flattens out, right? Right now it's going up. Everybody's saying like it's going to be 130K, 150K, and 250K, and you name it, right? Nobody's selling, right? Everybody wants to keep accumulating to ride that wave. But at some point, that plateaus. When that plateaus, I mean, people are going to say, okay, what should I do? Okay, maybe I buy some NFTs, some things are cheaper. That's why the Bored Apes are going up right now and punks and stuff. I think the same thing will happen with VeVe as well. I don't know for sure, especially when our guys kind of, roll in it from the crypto stuff. Sometimes I pray for these meme coins, man. All these guys on these shit coins and meme coins. If one of them ends up making a big dollar amount somewhere, they'll start buying up the partner statues and Todds and stuff.
Especially when we have Stacker rolled out and you're able to go and sell your ETH for OMI right on there, and they add liquidity to it. It's going to be super easy. Because this way they don't have to sell their ETH for US dollars, transfer it, and then buy gems. So I can do it all right on Stacker. That's going to be really big. But I think ETH is, or I think these things such as NFTs are really back. Because again, you have all those things.
Yeah.
I don't know if they have any plans for any type of self-custody. I don't know if they'll need that, just because you've had different things where people get scammed, and when you have that self-custody, that leaves you open to being phished. That leaves you open to being
Stacker. Stacker's the path in.
Yeah.
I'm a big believer in Dr. Profit, man. I think he's a godsend for us. Both on the VeVe side and the Ecomi side. Dr. Profit is a godsend, man. Like he's going to create. Hey, Jason, how are you, man? So Asuk, man, that guy's amazing. So Dr. Profit's basically, look, he stepped in and he said, I'm going to create this third-party marketplace. I'm going to have a wallet. I'm going to have, base OMI, this, that, all that stuff, connectivity, ability to make offers on sets, ability to do all these things, right? He's got a gazillion things. So Dr. Profit's right now in the build phase, He's not in the market phase. He's not marketing phase, I should say. Dr. Profit is building right now. And like every time I talk to the man, he's got some new ideas. He's told, he calls me up and he says, hey, Mr. MC1, I want to run something by you, some ideas, some thoughts. What do you think about this? And his thinking is so far ahead. It's not something that they're launching now. So that guy, man, when you talk about making VeVe great and OMI, that man, I trust him. He's going to be a very critical ally for VeVe and OMI and our community. And I genuinely trust that man. I trust Dr. Profit. And, he's like the backup, for a lot of things, man. Like he will step in, when he needs to. And he's a very big supporter of David, Dan, the community, VeVe, Ecomi. He's an amazing guy, man. Like he will, I trust him, and I really trust him. I trust him.
Am I Bruce Wayne and Batman Dark Knight? Because I believe in Harvey Dent. I 100% believe in him, and he's very heavily incentivized. And I feel like people forget that David, Dan, and Dr. Profit are like the three biggest OMI holders out in the world, and they're heavily incentivized to make it have not only utility but to bring attention to it. And maybe at some point, if something that's been holding them back clears up in the near future. But also,
there's two things though. There's will and there's skill.
There's multiple things. There's will and what?
There's will and skill. I trust Dr. Profit for especially his skill and also his will. That's what I trust Dr. Profit for.
So I trust his skill for reasons that I don't think I can talk about here, but his intelligence over anything, like when you're buying Ethereum at like $100 per ETH, and when your wife, your super beautiful, awesome, intelligent wife tells you to sell it, and you don't, because you know where it's going, and you don't chase those green candles like other people do. That intelligence is what I'm really banging on and thriving on, and also like David's connections, where if you take a look at who he's following, he typically only follows people that he does business with.
Yeah.
The exception, I think, right now might be Elon Musk, because
Yeah.
there is some evidence that points to maybe we might have some type of deal, or at least being in talks with them, just because he follows them. There's been a bunch of posts about SpaceX and all that. He retweeted some of the stuff. But the other thing is that Teresa Goody Guillen, who he follows, is a partner and lawyer at Baker Hostetler. They are the top 100 firm with over 1,000 attorneys providing advice to clients worldwide, and a lot of that does happen to be in Web3. She is a former SEC worker as well. And when you take a look at that, okay, why is he going and following her? Why are they talking? You need to have someone like that in your corner if you're going to build out a crypto that is not going to be targeted by the SEC. And I feel like a lot of people are really missing that. A lot of people really don't go through who he follows. They don't dig that deep. And one of the ways that, again, there's multiple things that'll likely happen in the next couple weeks and couple months that is going to take OMI to where they're not talking about it to where they are talking about it. That's another thing I wanted to ask as well. So you've been, when did you buy part of the channel? It's since April, May?
Yeah.
Okay, so figure around that time. Now, obviously, you've added some OMI prior to then, since then, but you've also added a little bit of Definity, and then you've also gotten certain payments from Mudo, one of the sponsors of the channel, because they do multiple things. They go in and test your genetic data, your epigenetic data, and unlike Ancestry and unlike 23andMe, they don't sell your data unless you ask them to. Now, why would you ask them to? It's because they know that they can make money on it, and they want to cut you in for the piece of the profits. So they have recently gotten my DNA. I will tell them to sell it, and I'll make a little bit off that as well. You've gotten paid from the sponsorship, but not from their tokens yet, because their tokens don't launch until next month. What are you most excited for? Are you most excited?
Randy, first things first, dude. Like, before we talk about all the new stuff, that decision that I made, the spot decision that I made when you pitched me and I agreed, and we kind of did the deal pretty much after that, really good. It's probably one of my highest dividend paying assets ever. It's like, I think yeah. So I put some money, right? In case there's people, watching. But the money that I put, I've got close to 25% of it back as dividends in the first 6 months.
Yeah.
So if that's, and that's on this trajectory right now, which means, what I get now in a month versus what I used to get when we first started is orders of magnitude bigger. And if that's the track rate, basically my entire investment in your channel gets covered in like maybe 18 months or even less.
Oh, I don't even think even, because now we have
and then it's like,
working on.
It's all kind of liquid, man. This is liquid.
Yeah, it's all
right.
Money
for there's money for few more beers and a few more parties, man. But getting back to what you're talking about, look, you've got an impressive range of sponsors. You have this ability with your personality, and it's kind of the reason why I invested in your channel as well, that you have the ability to talk about different topics and you're able to connect with different people. You can talk to someone like a Jeremy Padawar and be friends with him, someone like Farooq Al-Rashid, a lot of these guys, right? David and Dan and these guys. And so, you can have that conversation at that level. And then you can also connect with people at all types, the crypto community, the Pokemon community, and now you're talking about all this genetic stuff, And so there's a basic intellectual curiosity that you have. There's a certain memory that you have as well. You're able to quote all these movies and all these lines and this poetry and stuff, and you're waxing it quite eloquently. And that speaks to a certain brain power that you have. And I find that impressive, man. So I'm in. Hey, Sleepin, how are you, brother? So Sleepin and I, we're working on something together, something marvelous together. And we will not talk about it publicly until we have it fully done. And even when we're done, it probably will, it's not a big thing. It's not something that we will go wide with. In fact, we may never talk about it too. So But I work with Sleepin very closely. I have a lot of meetings with him now. I meet with a lot of artists, and this shit we're doing in the background here. And I'm super, super blessed, that Sleepin and I are kind of building something together. We're building something very cool. It's not just another group. It's not just some random shit. We're building something very different. And yeah, I'm super excited, man. Randy, I haven't told you about it too, so, and I won't talk. Definitely not going to cover it on the space, but I just wanted to say, Sleepin, brilliant guy, amazing guy. I'm so happy to partner with him.
Yeah, I love Sleepin. He's such
this guy, man. Second shot. You got the limited edition.
That's awesome. Cool, congrats, Sandbox. I don't know what I would have done with that. I mean, there's a couple of things that have gone up recently. The Lucky Rosso Gold has like doubled from 500 to 1,000. There's a partner statue that went from like 1,100 to like 1,600. And every now and then, so I used to kind of not purposely anyway, but I would look at things and I'd be like, okay, that's the floor, and I would forget that the auction button was there, and I would miss out on a couple things. But now the auction buttons, you see that first. It does mess with the floor levels a little bit because the floors are going to be based on what the auctions are. Yeah. But at least they're there now, and now you're reminded every time you go look at that collectible. Oh, hey, there's something you might be able to get for cheaper. Are you tracking that? Are you stacking anything? Was there certain things that you're looking at?
My stacking is very simple, man. I keep buying Marvel comic ones. Like I'm up to 920, 15 or 20 or something in my lifetime. I'm going to keep stacking them. I just keep looking at who's selling it, what they're selling it for, when they're selling, what else am I doing? I just keep adding Marvel comic ones. Yeah. In my lifetime, it's one of those ones where I'm just going to own as many as I can. And God willing, if someday I land a big gig, I told you, right? I'm working on a big thing to happen.
Yeah.
The finder's fee.
You've been working on that for a while, yeah.
Yeah, I'm working on it for a while, man. Like if that works out, the finder's fee on that will wipe out a considerable amount. In fact, I probably put a bounty on it too, say, look, I want a bunch of these, please list them, I'll pay you so much for it. And just clean as much of it as I can. And then obviously the Marvel logo is very important to me. Like it was a dream of mine, man. It was a dream of mine to create something with Marvel, and it was not about pumping the price. It was never about, creating some group where people chat and shit. I wanted to do something very, very cool, bespoke with that logo. And when it came out for $15 and people started dropping it for $10, I'm like, I'm going to make them cry, man. I will personally make them cry. And I bought like 97 of them or 100 of them, and I've given away some, and my wife has a bunch. And then, my friends, obviously, they've gone in as well. But I mean, I stack a few other things, from time to time, like comics. I like the Ultimate X-Men comic. I like the Ultimate Spider-Man comic. These are all the new VeVe Comics app stuff. Hey, OBL, how's it going? I love OBL. Spaces a lot now, man. That's great. It gives you good old vibes, It's great to see her.
I picture her like talking on Spaces while she's like holding the baby, feeding the baby, and just building that relationship, and hopefully at some point, because I don't know how old kid is now. I don't even think is a year, but I know the hippocampus really starts to develop at around 18 months. But you could potentially have some memories before then. That would be really awesome, as if her kid has like her first memories. Or the first memories are being held while listening to like a VeVe Spaces, and that would be really cool. It wasn't that long ago that Harry Potter was released, and then it wasn't that long after that when teachers started having people named Hermione in their classrooms or Luna in their classrooms, names that had never been really done before. And I'm really curious over the next decade, or are we going to have these VeVe kids that they grew up with that? I can't wait to. So get a little personal.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of people's kids, right? Even the guy in Canada, what's his name? Oh man,
Mark Wynn.
Yes, him. Right?
I love him.
And then you've got all these pictures of these kids, their first picture is with a VeVe Gold logo hat. And those are so cool to see, man. They're so cool, so cool to see. By the way, I want to shout out this guy, Carl Scope, as well. Man, there's so many. Hey, O'Malley, how you doing, man? Banger for space today, by the way. Banger for space. Very good. Very, very nicely done. So, Carl Scope, he won something from the Golden Dragon Club, right? They have some kind of a prize or something like that. He lives overseas.
They always have stuff.
He basically told them, hey, why don't you send it to Mr. MC1? And he says, thank you, Mr. MC1, for everything you do. Here's this thing. And I was like, oh my God, you don't need to do this, man. But it's so cool. We have an incredible community, incredible community. The people, you just don't know the depth. Like, I'm one of the guys who's the connector. I'm in the middle of the group. I connect people with different things. I host events. Usually I have a very good pulse on, if somebody's trying to sell something or get something or give something or wants to know something. And I will tell you that this community is so incredible, man, so incredible. And the whales in this community are very generous. Most of them, very generous, man. Very, very, very generous. I mean, all the way starting from like the God of it all, Dr. Prophet, man, like amount of his personal money and time and effort he spent on building out things, incredible. And then if you look at people like Rolex and Turtle Golf, Dr. Fuse, just a lot of them, man, like Packaging Dude, Alex, they're all super generous guys. King Mavs, another guy, man. King Mavs, amazing guy. Asuk, right? He's amazing. Felix, Grubba, right? And a lot of them have gone through the ups and downs too, right? These guys have gone through the ups. Michael Camper too, right? Michael's an amazing guy, man. He's joined me in so many amazing things. So these guys have all gone through the ups and downs, but they are very, very generous at the core, and they're genuine people, man. I love these guys. And so that's one of the benefits of being in the VeVe Ecomi community is you're around some stellar people who will be there for you when you're in your darkest times, and all the artists too. Like Ron, super busy, man. Like he hangs out with Chris Brown and with all these other people, with Kevin Durant, all these guys. But they'll make time for the VeVe fam. So Ron English, Al Kahn, Jason Naylor, Mumbat, Jermaine Rogers, Simone, all of them, man. Even like Vincent and the Addiction team, the Carl Choi and the 24/7 Comics team, they're all very, very supportive, man. They're all big guys, man. They're very super wealthy guys. They have their lifestyles and everything, but they make time for us. And then if you look at Figpin, those are my new buddies, man. Dan Williams, I love Dan Williams, man. He's super guy. Amazing
Shout out
guy.
Dan, sponsor of the channel.
I love him. I love Dan Williams, man. He's such a cool guy. He's so bright. And if you see the work that he's done, most of us know Figpin as the pins. But if you follow his businesses and all the other things that he has in that business, it's amazing. So, but yeah, so that's kind of, I will tell you the community is the strongest part of it. And these are times when, some part of our community is really hurting, right? So it's important to come out and say, look, guys, it is what it is, but let's get you guys what you want. Can't go back, but we all will support what you guys want over the next few weeks. We're here for it. Ben and all these guys are listening. Everybody's listening, man. Everybody's listening. They want to do it. And this is not like lip service. They're going to do it. So, hey, Ben, good call, man. I'm telling you, man, I've been in your seat sometime, man. You got a tough, your team comes to you and say, either delay evolvables or kind of get the app done, or kind of do evolvables with, these things. And oh, Ben, by the way, you take all the kicks in the ass and the bullets in the front. You know what I mean? Like, and he's doing a good job, man. He's taking all the hits, man. He's very open. Like, yes, we'll fix it. We'll this. The only thing, you can't say is these guys don't know it. There's a tendency for people to say, oh, this guy didn't know, they didn't think about us. It's all not true, man. It's not true.
It reminds me, he reminds me of T'Challa in Secret Wars. If anyone's ever read that comic, it's incredible, where they're worried about these incursions, and every time a new Earth pops up, you have that really epic decision to make. Like, do we try to figure out a way around it to make us kind of skip it, or do we blow up this Earth? And T'Challa really doesn't know what to do. He goes and talks to the land of the dead, talks to his dad and the great kings that came before him. And basically what they say is like, listen, heavy hangs the head that wears the crown, and you have that obligation to Wakanda and to your people and to your kingdom. And you really have to go and drown out those other worries from other worlds that are not your own. And that's what Ben, I think, is doing here, is saying that, like, hey, I know that certain people want some things in the here and the now, but that's going to affect what everyone's going to want later in life in the next 6 to 12 months. And I think he really encompasses that the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. We can make the decisions to make some certain people happy in the short term, but it wouldn't be good for people in long term. And just know that, Ben, that there are people that might be a little silent, but we understand what you're doing. We understand that. We've been in this, we've invested in companies like this before. Like, it would have been much easier for Elon Musk in 2012, 2015 to not build new cars, and would have just taken that profit and just done advertising and done whatever. Because if he would have done that, then the shareholders would have been super happy because they would have been making money. The company would have been profitable. But if he would have done that, we wouldn't have seen the Cybertruck. We wouldn't have seen the Model 3. We wouldn't have seen all of these things that have made his company worth one of the most valuable companies in the world. So again, in Ben we trust.
Startup to scale up, right? That's the fundamental difference, right? Under David and Dan, this company was a startup, right? And even 5 years into it, it was a startup. And to bring a Ben in to do the scale up was a smart decision, because these guys weren't quite getting to that scale, and we need a Ben to do that. And the scale up part, going from startup to scale up, requires making some very tough choices, because the people who are great for the startup part, right? Right, I love these super random callbacks to move. That's funny. Yeah, but so you have to make some tough people choices, because there were people that were really right for the job at a certain point in the growth, including the CEO, right? And it was why they brought in Ben. So, and then you've got to make some tough choices with your platform, and you have to make some tough choices with processes, and you have to make some really hard decisions, and you have to live with some of those decisions, and own it and get the most out of it, or whatever it is, right? And he's doing that. He's getting up there and he's saying, look, we had to scale up to do this. This new platform does these new things. We really need it. That's why we did this. We understand we had to rush this thing. There are 5 things or 10 things or 15 things we need to get done. I own it. I'm sorry. We'll get it done. Work on it. He's saying all the right things. And along the way, he's listening nicely. I think he's a good listener. And he's also doing the right thing by customers. He did right by KC BMW.
Yeah. There's a quote from, or I guess there was an issue where Australia was going through something really horrible. They're going through this drought. They're going through this heat wave.
Yeah.
And Elon Musk was the one that was saying hey, we're going to redo your batteries. We're going to make it so that all the solar power, we're going to help. And then there was this outcry, saying he wasn't working fast enough. There were people that were suffering, and he took it such to heart. And he said, we will try harder. And what Ben said before is saying, listen, mistakes were made, impacted users were contacted, we've apologized, we've compensated, the public acknowledgement and apology has been issued, learnings are being implemented. I do see a lot of similarities there, and that makes me want to invest more, because he's going on and yes, he's doing things behind the scenes that maybe not many people are aware of, but also in front of the scenes, he's doing that. There's a quote that it's going to be from me. And it was from Alibaba, where I had said, people don't buy what you do, people buy why you do it. The goal is not to do business with everybody who needs what you have. The goal is to do business with people who believe what you believe. And it is not psychology, but biology. Our neocortex is responsible for our rational thought and language. And our limbic system, however, is responsible for our feelings such as trust and loyalty. And I feel like what Ben's doing is he's really attacking both of those systems, and he's really getting to us on that level. And even though there are certain people that can kind of be okay, I see what you're doing there. But the thing is, I know that you're trying to play people, but most people will be oh, he speaks to me on such this level, and they're going to invest because of that, and follow that money. Where's that going to go?
Yeah. And Atomic Z06 also another, he's a very senior executive in a company, and he gets it, and he's a big collector of many things on VeVe and off VeVe. Great point, great points, man. Some amazing points here. But we've got to my belief is that VeVe is going to be the place where the world collects. Yeah, well, you can, you can make shit up and say VeVe will have some new IP in the next 3 months and not know anything, and it will come. That's the beauty of VeVe. They will bring some great new IP. You can say they'll have a new category every 6 months or something, and they will, even without knowing it. So, but I'll tell you, I think, my belief is that VeVe is the place where the world will collect. It's a tremendous company. They have the ability to bring in lots and lots of IP. David's a genius, and now he's got a little bit more time, I presume. In general, since Ben's come and taken on some of the workload from him, right?
Yes.
And so with Ben kind of doing the scale up and the operational and getting all the stuff ready and done and putting structure in there, frees up maybe Dan a little bit more to go do what he does, with the VeVeverse and with other things. And then David. And these guys will bring in, my belief is that they're going to bring in some great IPs. They're going to innovate incredibly. Evolvables is just the start of it. I would love to see comics burning and crafting. I would love to see more different forms of art. I want to see fashion. I want to see tickets. I want to see the sports vertical. Sports feels like a check the box so far. Music feels like check the box so far. I would love to see both music and sports kind of go to the next level. And then I'd love to see OMI, right? OMI is one of those things, I think, which is maybe most talked about but least understood is my thinking by a lot of people.
Wait, most talked about, least understood. Say that again. Most thought about but least understood. Oh, preach, girl, preach.
Yeah, so nobody in the community can know what's truly going on with Ecomi, either with exchanges or on the legal side or on things that kind of work in the back end, right? You just can't. And those things that can never be talked about or disclosed while they're going on can lead to decisions that may feel like incompetence, may feel like inaction, may feel like, they don't understand it, they don't want to do it, they're sabotaging it. There's many ways to interpret and misinterpret that. And I don't know the true story of Ecomi. I don't know the true story, but I've done some digging around and I've, looked at whatever I can find online and, from people, talking to some people about the past and stuff. And, my sense is that there will be a day when all the shit will the shit will go. And then it's going to be just plain David, Dan, Foster, Puddin Cheeks, Prophet, sorry, all these guys, without all the shit, just purely working to get it to a certain point. I don't think we're there as yet. I don't know the details, but
I think we're close. And the reason I think that is because.
Sorry, can I get some? I'll just get some water and come.
Yeah, go.
Just give me 30 seconds.
I got this.
Yeah, give me a couple minutes.
So the reason why I think guys were close is because you had that guy named Crypto Bro, which is usually tries to fit things towards his narrative. He goes on and says like, "Hey guys, we have the trial officially starting between Ben Gadenzi versus Ecomi or versus Orbis Technologies, which owns Ecomi, it owns VeVe." And it seems that after he had posted about that, which again, a lot of times he goes and tries to post things to fit his negative narrative, has been really quiet about that. And it really reminds me of when Harvey Dent was talking to Rachel Dawes and Bruce Wayne just about what happens when you arrest like 600 people, from the mob. He says it won't matter. The head guys make bail, sure, but the mid-level guys, they can't, and they can't afford to be off the streets for long enough for trial and appeal. Well, cut deals that include some jail time. Think of what you could do with 18 months of clean streets. Think of what Ecomi and Orbis can do once that thorn is out of their side. Think of what they can do when they're suddenly allowed to talk about the token, where they don't have to worry about someone trying to sue them. And again, if that trial had started X amount of days ago, how long does that last for? I don't think it lasts for too long. Let's say it lasts through the end of the year. Boom, Q1, they start to, like, you have VeVe set of marketing, and then you have a Ecomi set of marketing.
Yeah.
They
I
are.
don't know the details of what you're talking about, but one thing I will tell you, Randy, is if you think about OMI, right? Like I've created multiple groups, right? I started with the VeVe Gold and Silver logo group, and David obviously was passionate about it, and he, whether I had created a group or not, he would already always done utility for that group, right? But he supported that group incredibly, right, through other means. Then if you look at the level 100 group, that was something that we made the request, and that group was set up in a very, very thoughtful manner. A lot of stuff has been created around it. That program, the Prestige 1 program, the first 50 to get there. There's action, there's stuff that's gotten done. And then there's this Ecomi SR logo group. The Ecomi SR logo group, they gave the logo, and I've created the group, but there's no goodies in it, right? Nothing. The same guys have created goodies for this, but not this. And a couple of times I kind of, just went and with OMI, I'm always careful, man. I'm super careful. It's a different freaking animal, so I'm super careful. But I've kind of probed and pinged a little bit, saying, hey guys, like, yeah, where's the love, right? And I've never got a clear answer on it. And so that tells me that we just need to wait a little bit more. It's not like they're not going to take care of these guys, It just tells me we need to be a little bit more patient. But I think the day that the Ecomi SR logo guys get something cool gets sprinkled in that group, big, small, or otherwise, that's the day we know we're good to go.
When you talk about, when you're saying like, oh, hey, we haven't had much, since the inception, am I Davy Jones in Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End? Because I'm going to say they're now, like in the near future, I think we do get something like that. And I know we have people saying like, hey, listen, this case has been going on for many years, but the trial actually started a few days ago. So the case might have been going on for a while, but it's at an end, it's at a head. And since the fudders, which tend to use everything they can to try to fit their narrative, have been very silent on the matter, it does seem like it's probably going pretty well, or else they would have made it known that it wasn't. So again, I am reading between the lines.
I don't know the details, but
yeah, I don't know it either.
I probably shouldn't speculate anyway, man. Like,
fair point.
Randy, like, by the way, Randy, we should never speculate on the price of OMI ever, man. Like, just let it be, man. Like, I read these, I open X and I see Randy's got a price prediction for next year.
Well, it's not a prediction. He's talking about when you have this guy named John Ehrlichman, there's over 400,000 followers over on X. He says, these initial $5,000 investments would now be worth $1 million. He goes, 50 years ago, if you bought Disney stock, they'd now be worth $1 million. And it lists multiple projects up until you get to Bitcoin, where if you had bought it not $5,000 worth of Bitcoin 9 years ago, it'd be worth $1 million now. Now, what I say is I don't predict the price. I say that $5,000 in OMI now potentially gets you 1 million by next year. And out of the 35,000 views that got, most people are just like, I bet you it doesn't.
Alrighty. I'll leave you with that one, brother.
Yeah. So it's not necessarily a prediction. It's just saying it's something that could happen. So
anyway, let's move on.
Yes, moving on here. And so there's been some, and you obviously have one of these as well. There's been people that have, especially Mr. Falcon, who's absolutely incredible. He makes historical videos, and he's making a bunch of these things with Tales from Riso, talking about the VeVeverse, showing some epic things that you have there. When that NDA lifts in Q1, are you going to show anything, or are you just going to sit back and watch while other people show other things?
No, I'll show you what I have, man, but I don't think mine's as good as what these guys have built. Like mine just, I'm not like a great builder or anything, but I have like a room. So I have one pad, which is just all the golden moments. So it has the VeVe Gold logo. It has all the golden moments in it. And I like the space, but it's not got all the cool stuff that Tails and Falcon and all these guys built, but it's pretty cool. I think it's pretty cool. Then I have another space, which is for the OMI. It's just built, decked out for Ecomi logo, OMI, this, that, and the other. And then I have one space for Marvel. So I have a Marvel space. It's kind of very He's just started. So I probably have to put a lot more time into it, but I will get that built out more professionally as well. So I'll give somebody access to my pad, pay them some money, get it built out at some point in time. So that'd be pretty cool. What are you laughing at, Randy?
Oh no, I'm just trying to take a picture and I try to smile. I just got a new phone and there's 523 people here. So Sparky tagged me in a thing on Instagram where she's saying, let's go fam. But I feel like we look a little derpy here. So I wanted to take a photo and share it with her and our other friends that's saying like, hey, use this photo because, I feel like we look a little bit better in this one.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, so I think, I don't think we should ever have a stream where we don't talk about OMI. We should always talk about OMI. It's critical to what we do. A lot of us hold a lot of OMI as well, and we want to create more and more utility for OMI. And, I just can't wait for the day when David allows some good shit to be sprinkled on that Ecomi SR logo group, which to me would be the first sign of some kind of thing, I can't wait for Ecomi to be listed in a lot of exchanges. I'm sure the muck that's followed Ecomi affects that, especially the bigger exchanges and stuff, but hopefully all the stuff gets cleaned out and then we have like some big exchanges. Hopefully we're able to, build that integration of OMI. So this is where Dr. Profit will come in. It's going to make it super easy to bring in OMI, base OMI into the app, stake it, get shit for it, no fees, this, that, all the incentives, buying collectibles at a better kind of fee structure, group offers, set offers, and all those kinds of things, right? Just create some insane utility. And then hopefully, if he kind of creates an ecosystem where other projects sit on Stacker, right? Then you'll have other people who kind of look at Stacker and then say, hey, what is this VeVe thing and stuff. So he could become like an arm that brings in crypto people, into OMI, into VeVe through that Stacker third-party marketplace. And that's where, I don't think it's a tomorrow thing. But when I look at Stacker, before we get to VeVeverse and after Evolvable, it's going to be an exciting end to the year. Yeah, man, I need some symbols, dude. Like I need some symbols, please. Some symbols. You can make them complex. You can make it
what type of symbols?
You can get a cryptographer to make the toughest riddle out of what you want to say. All right, toughest riddle, and we'll see if we can get to it.
Oh,
I think even if we get to 10% of it, it'd be fun.
So Brockman Blockchain does these type of riddles and he does these type of like scavenger hunts for fiches. Yeah. And the only thing that I could really compare it to is Cicada 3301. Do you know what that is?
I have no idea, Randy. You'll have to explain to me. What is Cicada 3301?
So it started like years ago where you were able to go, nobody knows who made this game. But you had this image, and if you download the image and you go and look to it, you look in the code, it gives you like a QR code, and then it goes to elements of the periodic table, it goes to Bible verses, it goes to coding and poetry. You have to be incredibly intelligent to follow these clues, which lead to real world locations. And the winners are people that are insanely intelligent, and nobody knows who they are because the winners are contacted via DM. People are speculating that it was like CIA or MI6 or NSA, whoever it was. And it was like a recruitment tool. And I'm not saying it has to be that crazy intelligent that nobody can figure it out, but that type of thing, that type of scavenger hunt, and when you're talking about symbols, I think that would be really fun. It's something that the people go crazy for. They do it in Gravity Falls, which is a kid's show, but they could do that and it would be like a mass hunt. We could do like the hashtags for it. That type of thing would be really fun. Could help us go viral.
That's pretty cool.
Speculation Nation. So there's a couple of things I wanted to ask you about as well. So we have Disney. When like I think Michael Bolton did a song, "This is a tale of Captain Jack Sparrow." Then we have National Geographic because we have Disney. They have like 250 million followers over on
Pirates of the Caribbean. Is that what you want?
I would love. Give me my Jack Sparrow. Give me my William Turner. Give me my Bootstrap Bill Turner. That is one of the most epic stories I've ever seen, where a father doesn't want his son to follow his life into piracy. The son gets anyway. That leads into like the nature versus nurture thing. And then the son also sacrificing himself or sacrificing his lives or years of service to Davy Jones in order to save his father. They both wind up on the ship together. It's just an epic story. I would love those types of things. But then National Geographic, you have those magazine covers, you have the educational thing.
Oh yeah, man.
And I think that would be great in the VeVe-verse. Like I know the first iteration is just going to be the showrooms, but we know we're going to have, like, at least from Ron English, that's one of the IP branded worlds. The stuff that you could do in the National Geographic world, if that were to become a part of the VeVe-verse, one, you could have that giant aquarium, and then you could have some of our collectibles go in there. We have certain Mermicornos that could go in there that are water-based. We have the most recent Nounish thing.
I would also love Life magazine in there, man. Life magazine would be amazing too, you know. I just... Let me show you. Do you want to see a couple of cool Life magazines, old ones?
Yes, always.
Right, hang on a second.
Always. While you go there, I'm going to talk to them about mermaids. So you go do that. So one of the other things, like you see in the Nounish collectibles that we have, it's a swim shady, it's a shark, they have glasses. But then I would also like to see some, like we have not the Mermicornos, well, we have those too, but we have the supernatural stuff. We have Bigfoot, and then we go and we have the Chupacabra. Then we have Mothman. All of these supernatural things that we could go, like, why not have some type of mermaids? And I get it. They are one of the things that are right now supernatural, and we don't know if they really exist. I like to believe they do. You have, back in the day, before the 1400s, sex toys didn't exist, or sex dolls didn't exist. So what people would do is randy pirates on these trips, they would go and they would boink these manatees, because the genitalia are very similar. And then when explorers, whether it's Leif Erikson, Henry Hudson, they would go in and see these like creatures in the sea that look very human, they would think it was just the offspring of the pirates and of those manatees. Meanwhile, I have a suspicion that they were maybe mermaids. NASA was founded in order to explore the deep ocean. Why did they go and stop exploring the deep ocean? Why did they start exploring space? I think because they found something that told them to stop. I think mermaids. Aquatic ape theory. Anyway, Mr. MC1.
That's too funny.
It's not funny, it's science. Oh, who is that?
This is the second issue of the Life magazine. So it's one of the very old ones.
Yeah. Is that Marilyn Monroe?
Yes, Marilyn Monroe, one of the more expensive ones, so one of the more valuable ones. And this one.
The most violent man.
Is that? You know who this is?
The 42? Not the refrigerator. It's got to be before.
The guy with the 42. The guy in the 42. Do you know who that is?
No, who is that?
Tony Pittman's dad.
Really?
Yes. So Tony's dad is on the cover of Life magazine, man. A cover of Life magazine.
Huh.
How cool is that, man? December 3rd, 1971.
That is awesome.
Atomic 06, man. I mean, I have some cool stuff, man. Like when I find something, I'll go get it, you know? This one actually has, it's when India achieved its independence, but the inside has the first time that Life magazine covered Mahatma Gandhi. So
what year was that from?
This is from 1947. So India got independence on August 15th, 1947. This issue is August 18th. And Lord Mountbatten was the viceroy.
Yeah.
But anyway, so yeah, man, there's some cool stuff, you know. I would love to see covers of National Geographic, Life magazine, Time magazine, you know, those kind of things come out as well. Even if it's just the covers to start with, just like that, you know, what's that thing? The children's book, man. The first children's book. What was that called?
The first children's? I don't know.
No, not what was that? The French one, man. Like, what's it called?
The guy on the moon.
Yeah. What's that?
The Le Petit.
Le Petit. Yeah.
Yeah, I forget what it was called.
Just like that. I mean, I think if they have just the cover to begin with, that'd be great. But you know, VeVe could be a place where you could have the most iconic magazines the oldest ones out there. Like even manuscripts, man. Like some of the old manuscripts you could have on.
I would love that.
Yeah, man. I mean, that'd be amazing, dude. Like, I would love it too. But
Richard Simon was asking, are you going to Singapore Comic Con?
I can't go to Singapore Comic Con now. I am going to India, but I see if I planned it a little better, I could have stopped over there. But next year sometime I will come to Singapore. So I really want to go back to Singapore. I really enjoyed my time there last time. And interestingly, we have a lot of VeVe fam in Singapore, and they're all, like, I think all of them, or almost all of them, are logo holders. Believe it or not, the whole lot of them. Like, there's 15, 20 of them there. They all have logos, and they're all, anyway. So I do want to go to Singapore, catch up with all of them. Yeah, and I'm in the group too, by the way. So they've invited me into the group. So,
that's so
great. I will go there next year sometime, and not now, not immediately. I have some stuff going on now.
All right, I understand. Just saying Petite Prince. Oh, that's what it
was. Oh,
yeah. So you mentioned Gandhi before. One of the things, and I don't know if we can get book. I mean, we have comics, we have manga that we're getting into. 8 Attributes of Great Achievers. One of the things that they happened to do mention Gandhi. That's just one of my favorite books. The story about that is there was a mother that brought her kid, I don't know how many miles, maybe like 30 miles, but back in the day, there was in that part of the world, there was no cars, there was no vehicles.
Yeah.
Brought a kid 30 miles to tell Gandhi, be like, hey, tell him to stop eating sugar. And Gandhi's like, bring him back next month and I'll tell him. She's like, okay, I guess. And then she brings him back, travels 30 miles back to Gandhi. So please tell him to stop eating sugar. It is horrible for him. I'm worried for his health. And he says, listen, kid, you should not eat sugar. It is very bad for you. This is not the way to live life. And the mom says, thank you, but why couldn't you tell him that last month? And he says, I couldn't. Last month I was still eating sugar. And he just didn't want to be that hypocrite. And that's just, I love that type of thing.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah. Type of person I wish I could try to be. Speaking of people that we wish we could try to be, I do try to emulate you, I guess, as much as I can, as far as being a networker and being a go-getter, never really sitting still, always doing stuff. I don't know how much of what you do is for your future self and how much of it is because what you really want to do. But you seem to be on the board of a lot of these companies. You see to host all these parties, and on the surface, that could mean like, oh, that serves them now because it's fun, maybe get paid for it. But a lot of these networking things, is that just a personal goal? You just want to have a really huge network, or is it something that that when you're 60 is going to pay huge dividends? I just want to kind of get into that personally.
You're talking about me, right?
Yes.
Well, for me, I grew up in a very sort of academic kind of environment. I studied chemical engineering. I worked in nuclear fuels all my life. I didn't really have some money or anything. I worked very hard. Pretty much every job that I worked, work 5-6 days, long hours, and really never had that ability to pursue a lot of different types of things that are passion and fun. And somehow, I think about 4 years ago, turns out that I, did well. I had a nice exit, and I was starting to do some things like investing in early stage companies. Then I started doing some private equity, but it was only part-time kind of stuff. Like, I really didn't take up much of my time. And at the time, I said, look, I really want to have fun in life, and I really want to do things that I enjoy. And for me, that means being around people that are, I like being around good people and doing fun things that I want to do. So for me, this is fun. I don't need to make any money on it. I don't have any intentions of making money on it. The day it becomes a job for me, the day, the fun will come out of it. The day money gets involved in it, like, at least for me personally, that would be, I think that'll kind of turn me away from it. So today it's a hobby, it's a passion. I don't want to make a dollar from it. I want to have a lot of fun, and I want to create engagement, right? I'm very deeply bought into digital ownership, digital engagement, manifesting digital assets in AR and VR and mixed reality. I believe that blockchains have a tremendous potential, one of which is crypto with a purpose, right? And utility for that crypto to do something. And these are all things that are, I believe, even though they've been around for a little bit of time and they feel like they've been around, I still think it's very, very early days in the space. I have a lot of fun. And part of that is to surround yourself with people that enjoy that too, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of these communities are somewhat self-serving for me in that I'm creating this ecosystem of people in which I love being. So every group that I've created is an ecosystem of people that I want to be a part of for the rest of my life, that I'm alive, whether I'm working, not working, or whatever. And so the VeVe Gold and Silver logo holders for me is basically tied to one of the things that I love the most, which is VeVe, and it's tied to the core logo. And I'm a big believer in David and Dan and these guys and the team. And I think that they are going to support this community for the rest of their, whatever time. I mean, for them, it's a job, right? So, but I believe there's a deep passion there. And so to me, it's not something that you buy and you sell. And, someday I probably will sell it. Or if I don't sell it, if I'm dead and gone, somebody that survives me, will my wife or somebody the other that we give it to will kind of, maybe they'll sell it, who knows what they do. But in my lifetime, I really want to enjoy that community year after year. I want to go to these 2 or 3 events. Hopefully others run events, for the VeVe Gold and Silver logo in Singapore, in London, in Paris, in the Middle East, in Latin America. But the ones in New York, the one in San Diego, or one of the other locations, and maybe one of the Europeans one I'd run too. Maybe the one in Asia I'll run too. So it doesn't matter. But to me, that motivates me, being around that group of people, and I'm connected to all of them. There's 250 people in that group. I know I have shared a DM with every one of those 250 people to let them into the group, and I've made a hat for most of them, right? Yes, including you. So. Yeah, and so there's that connection, and a lot of people, like, their identities are not known online, but I know them, and they're connected to me deeply. So to me, that's a bond. It's a very strong bond, and that's why sometimes you'll find me a little bit more, passionate, a little more triggered when something stupid happens, But yeah, so that's kind of that, and passion, Randy. That's all it is. Similarly with Ecomi. To me, that Ecomi SR logo group was one where these are people who took the time to put some money in the app and leave it in the app when nobody believed in it. And they cared enough to do that. And that speaks to a very high quality of commitment to Ecomi. And so that to me is another group which is slightly different, that takes a slightly more crypto-ish kind of a group. It's more global in nature. It's a little more affluent. It's a little more maybe tech savvy, I would say. So that Ecomi SR logo group is a slightly different group and a vibe, and I love being in that group. And the type of communication that happens in that group. And I'm just started. The first party was actually more of an open party. We had it in New York on Saturday. But that will evolve into being a crypto. And, we need OMI to do better. We need like a better narrative and a lot of other stuff there. But I really will, and I might get some help for it. But I would love to see the Ecomi SR logo group in the next 3 to 5 years evolve into where the VeVe Gold and Silver logo group is, with just, some amazing networking events with a lot of tech woven into it. Like, sure, the gold logo thing is a lot of parties and art. This one, I want a lot of parties and tech, and I want, different, like I have a different vision for that. So we'll see that happens. And hey, Ed, how you doing, man? Hopefully you're doing better. But, and then, there's the level 100 group, which is a very different group as well. And then, yeah, I'm trying to do something with Marvel as well, but I can't talk about it, and I probably want to keep that. That's very different. It's not even like any group that you've ever seen. It's just something very, very different I'm building. It's very bespoke. It's anyway, I won't spend more time on it, but it's just a very different kind of thing. And it caters to another dimensionality of who I am and what I seek in life. And I'm building a passionate group of people around it. And a very small group. That's going to be very small, narrow, focused on something specific. And it's best that's kept private, and because you don't want to flash money, publicly, and you don't want to kind of create all these things, any kind of jealousy or any such thing.
Most people would.
Yeah, but that was not going to be like that. We're never going to pump any collectible with it. We're never going to flash. Yeah. You'll never hear anything much about that group. It's going to be very private, and it's going to chase a certain dream and a goal.
In the next year, and again, I won't make any price predictions or anything, but in the next year, as OMI does certain things, that Ecomi Secret Rare Collector Group, they'll probably have a bunch of us fighting to pay for everything. Like, no, let me get this round. Let me get this bottle set. Let me get this.
Well, you can have it, Randy.
Yeah, no, we'll do. Like I said,
with 200 million OMI, you're gonna pay every dinner, my friend.
100%.
I'm gonna get you guys all to sponsor the parties as well.
Oh yeah, we
right now a lot of it comes from some funds anyway.
Yeah, a decent amount of this. So I wish you were able. I know you're incredibly busy, you have a ton going on, being very responsible, building everything. But in Vegas, we did miss you, and there were two groups. I'm going to give you a bit of a layup question, make it look good here. There were two groups up until Saturday night where we all fusion hod and we went to the karaoke event. You kind of had Magic Mansion with the OMI homies, Max and Janie. You had Casey. You had Mahalo Joe. You had all of these different people, like from Spaces, and then you had another group where, again, we all met up on that Saturday and we had a great time. But then you had me, and Crypto Rain, his wife Rachel. You had Taps Trades. You had Rita Baby and Dog Boy. You had Sparky. You had Packaging Dude, his wife.
Right? Tammy was also there with you guys. Right?
Tammy and Fam Bam, and then Heather from Kuroga. You had all these different people.
Yeah.
And it was maybe not PG-13 rated, maybe it was a little R rated. Which group would you have hung out with? Again, giving you that layup there to be. Which group would you hung out with until?
Well, I mean, I know you guys both very well. So the OMI homies, and Magic are like family to me, right? OMI homies are here. Literally, they know more things about my life. They know very private things about my life that nobody else on VeVe knows. Like nobody knows. Like OMI homies are very close. Like, they're like a brother and sister to me, They're very close, very, very close to me. And Magic as well, through this whole silicon thing and everything. So Magic is also very, very close to me. So those three people, are literally like I'm very tight with them. So I'm close to them. And then, with you guys, I'm very close to you and with Doctor of Stuff as well, and Crypto Rain. I'm getting to know Crypto Rain a lot more through you guys. But yeah, so and VeVe Fam Bam is also she's helped me so much in so many events. It's not funny, she's literally helped, kind of get a lot of things done. And this goes back like almost to Decon when we did something in Dave & Buster's. Oh, sorry, was it Dave & Buster's? No. Yeah.
Well, yeah, she did that. That was years ago, and then she did the San Diego one earlier this year. Yeah,
she's been very close to me. So I'm tight with all of you guys, man. Like, I don't know. If I had to choose between the two, I'd probably be a tight split. But
no, you're supposed to say you're going to hang with Magic Mansion and the PG-13 era.
Yeah, but I would say I'd probably split my time between the two of you guys. So I enjoy both. Yeah, but I wouldn't stay in any of your mansions though. I like the privacy of my own kind of room, man. No matter where I go, I'm not Airbnb-ing it with anyone.
100%. So we have been going on for a couple hours now. I guess so. Real quick, out of the companies that sponsor the channel, whether it's Affinity, whether it's Mudo, whether it's FigPen, what are some of the things that you're most excited for on the projects? What are some of the ones that you've gone on and looked into, and which ones do you want to know more about?
Don't know much about Mudo, even though they're sponsoring the channel and stuff. So that's one. I know you shared a little bit with me, but I don't know who they are. I know what they do, but not as much. So probably from a curiosity standpoint, probably want to know that. But in terms of looking at 2025, I would love to have a lot more of number one, Figpin on the channel, right? Dan Williams is doing some incredible work. There's a very tight sort of a fit with what, anything that you do here, you can get on the Figpin app and you can do the Fidgetal, and which is a pin, which lines up with something else, so there's a whole sort of connection there. So I'd love to see a lot more of that. And I really, really like Dan and his team a lot. Like, I really like them a lot. They're very good to work with. They build cool shit, and they're fast. They don't horse around, and their app is good, and they have a great app, and they're building too. But so anyway, so that would be one. I think another one for me would be, I'd love to see a lot of the independent comic artists and guys like Evermind and 24/7 Comics, basically, right?
So yeah, we're doing that big panel with Carl Choi.
When is that panel, man?
When Evermind number 3 comes out, I think in December. So when we get that to roll out, that's when.
Let me know. I'll definitely do that, because that comic is just incredible. I'm an investor in a company that does exactly that, but without the all the bullshit, right? Without all the evil kind of nature. But hey, Ace Move, how you doing, man? But yeah, so that would be another very interesting one. I'd love to see a lot more of Evermind, and also the other comic, Sanity, and all that stuff. I would love to see a lot more of Addiction comic. I love that crew as well. Vincent's a very dear friend, and he surrounded himself with some very bright people, with David Quinn, Andres Labrada, Andrew Wilson, all of them, right? Claudia Balboni. That's an incredible crew, and they had Artyom do a cover too, man. That's pretty cool, man. To get Artyom to do a cover, damn. So, and they have like this, Vincent has like a lot of other interests too, with comics and Metropolis and stuff. So I love to see a lot more with that. And then there's this whole sort of stream with Marvel and Disney. I've never had traction with them, man. Like, they're big, maybe it's just, just never get in there. I don't know what I need to do right. Anyway, it remains an enigma to me, and I want to have a relationship with Marvel, and figure out more ways to engage with them in the community. But if it takes the shape of VeVe engaging with them, and then us kind of being a beneficiary, and us just sort of giving me, that's fine. Anyway, but I'd like to see a lot more with Marvel going on this channel, by the way, and Disney as well. And I want to see OMI. I want to see a lot more of OMI. I want to see Dr. Prophet interviewed on the channel. I want to see Stacker stats covered on this channel. I want to see mint hunting covered on this channel. I want to see leaderboards covered on this channel. I want to see, new feature functionality coming up. I want to see gamification of shit that you find and buy on, like winning stuff, right? You kind of do something on Stacker and you win stuff. Like, I want like regular Stacker competitions of different kinds. And so that, we probably just have to sit down with Prophet and kind of figure out once they've got to a certain stage of development, right? So I'd love to see this channel evolve into being like that big Ecomi, OMI thing. And obviously everything has to fall in place there too. And then VeVeverse. There's going to be some incredible VeVeverse stuff coming out and tied to accessories and fashion and stuff. So I think I've connected you to a couple of fashion people now, right? They've not come on the channel as yet, but they will. Like, they're in your lineup, for bringing onto the channel all these, models and shit like that. So we'll and fashion designers and stuff. So hopefully that evolves as well. I think you'll do a great job. I know what you did with some of the other groups of people. So anyway, let's see how that shapes up.
Yeah,
that's a long list, by the way, Randy. I don't know if I covered everything you wanted. And obviously, Definity would be another big one to see how they kind of perform.
Yeah, there's a bunch down here. So one of the casinos that they might have that they started a gaming repo in. One of them might have been in Texas. I don't know, but that's one of the places where they might have started.
Okay.
But yeah, Dr. Prophet had said once it rolls out fully, he'll come on the channel. We'll do some giveaways. There's still actually one of the giveaways from New York Comic Con that he hasn't done. We'll do on the channel. We'll do some other stuff as well. One of the other things, so obviously not going over any price predictions here, but just general market sentiment. we were supposed to get, I think, like 7 rate cuts from the Fed this year, and I think we've gotten like 3. We'll get obviously a bunch more next year. But then also when you have the government agencies, Department of Government Efficiency next year, that is going to cut a lot of regulations. You have different companies, different people that if, let's say, Ernie wanted to build like a pool in his backyard, he has to go get permits for that, he has to do whatever. But basically, agencies in government over the last couple of years, they issued on average 19 rules and regulations for every law that Congress passed, which were 3,353 rules compared to the 178 laws that were passed by Congress over the last few years. So when you have a bunch of these rollbacks, how much of this money do you think gets injected into the market? How much of this money goes in and flows into crypto and then potentially, obviously, into OMI? Not talking in price predictions, but what does the sentiment look like?
So let me answer the question. So I want to stay clear of the politics of it. I mean, obviously, I vote and stuff, and I have my politics on it. So, but I want to keep the political side aside. And if you keep the politics aside, every political party has a certain bent. Forget the exact leader or whatever it is. My sense is that there will be a little bit more deregulation of some things, a little more loosening of some things, which is good for crypto. It's pro-crypto, pro-digital. A number of other things will work out. I mean, we've seen this before. We've seen this thing play out before. And I think that just having a different regulatory environment and a different approach to how these high-tech and new verticals are enabled or managed, that would be great, man. That would be great. So I think I'm bullish about it. I think you're seeing it in the prices of crypto already. People are feeling very bullish about it. By the way, I have something to show you. This is my best friend. This is literally my best friend from high school.
You showed me that picture. He was at Mar-a-Lago, right?
Yeah, that is at Mar-a-Lago today.
That's awesome.
So this is my best friend. He has basically helped with a lot of different types of things. And, I had a long chat with him today about crypto. And one of the things that he shared with me was, look, whether you like him or dislike him, or whether whatever your politics are, the couple of things that are given are that there will be some rollback of things that will ease up things for the digital industry. Yeah. And so that bodes well for us. I mean, will he do some other stuff that's going to piss people off, that's going to drive people wrong? I mean, who knows, man? Maybe I'm wrong, maybe others are wrong. I don't want to go down that path, but it's good for us. It's really good for us, is what I would say. Very good for us.
Agreed. Whether it is Josh Mandel or whether it was Greg Schultz or Perianne Boring, it does seem to be that you have people on both sides of the aisle, all hands on deck, really in support of crypto. You have Charles Hoskinson now going and talking to all these senators. Yeah, very positive on crypto. Love it.
I prefer staying out of the rest of the shit. People can do whatever they want. Leave it there. We care about crypto, and this is a good thing for crypto. And I think Gensler is gone, right? Gensler will be gone.
Yes.
And having Gary Gensler gone would be great. Having a pro-crypto person in that SEC chair would be good. Having a little more sort of amenable kind of an atmosphere. I think the 3 things that would be really incredible. One is if the US adds Bitcoin to the reserve, right? And uses that. That would be great, number 1. Number 2 is US really loosens up on this whole thing around mining. And instead of just sort of trying to screw around with it, they basically say, we want to be the preferred destination and location for Bitcoin miners. So not only are we going to just let you come in, we're going to make it like we're going to do what it takes to win your business and make this the freaking Bitcoin mining capital of the, planet. And I think Austin is well set up for it. They've already started attracting a lot of people. I think China's scared, and I think China themselves are loosening up their policy now. they had very strict policies, and they are loosening it up because they know that Trump is serious about it, and this could affect them in the end.
Yeah.
And so I think that making it the Bitcoin mining capital of the world, or preferred place to be in the US, loosens it up with all the competitors. The Russians are going to want to do it, the Chinese are going to want to do it, everybody's going to want to do it, which kind of makes it a very global kind of a thing. And Bitcoin's the leader. When it does that, then ETH will open up. The whole mindset towards digital currencies opens up a little bit, even though they're very different. And then once that happens, now you've basically got all the use of blockchain technologies, payments of different kinds. You've got digital assets kind of become a thing. More mainstream would be my guess. So those are the things I'm super excited about, Randy. I mean, I think it could be quite an inflection point is my guess. And I'm not talking about price here. I'm just talking about adoption and the adoption curve, really.
Great. There's a Putin signs into law crypto recognizing digital assets as property, which is great. Michael Saylor purchased another $5-ish billion worth of Bitcoin at like 97,000. You have Rumble that's going and putting. So there's all these companies putting a bunch on their reserve. And Charles Hoskinson, to my knowledge, outside of the past 3 days, has never made a Bitcoin price prediction. But 3 days ago, he went out and said, "Hey, I think we can get to $250,000 to $500,000 per Bitcoin in the next 2 years." And it's like, I mean, that's somebody that's never does it, and he does it now. I don't know if there's something.
Man, I stay away from all this shit, man. I don't want to ever put a price on anything. So, you know, buy shit and let it ride. Let's not go there.
Preach. Anyway, so there's one last thing before you go. Astrig Move says that he has a group of friends, they're great artists, and a group of fresh graduates who study blockchain in depth. What should he do with them? Where does he push them to go? Where do they belong?
I have a group of friends, they are great artists. So they're artists and they know blockchain. Well, the first thing is to get into design, right? Because it's my belief that the metaverses are going to take off. VR, AR, VR technology is going to start taking off. I think there was a hiccup, right? With the whole crypto downfall, create a hiccup, and then also the hardware wasn't ready, right? My sense is that the hardware, even if it's not ready now, by next year, we would be in a better shape. I mean, the Ray-Ban Metas will be better. The Vision Pro next generation would be better. The Unreal stuff is going to be better. All the others are also going to improve, and that'll create a whole renaissance. And with crypto kind of getting more adoption, there'll be a whole renaissance of, digital art. And it's not just like, I think the first wave of art digitally was just pieces of art that you bought and from artists and stuff. But now it's going to be environments, right? Like the kind of thing that Tails is building, right? If you're an artist and you have that and the technology skills, you have the ability to create beautiful environments and utility using the blockchain in it. Whether it's to buy something, whether it's to gamify it, whether it's to get some kind of, stake something and get something. I would focus on it. I mean, I think there's a lot of money to be had there, lots of money to be had there in that technology. If you start looking at even at cities now, right? If you put in any city name, major city, and you type immersive experience, you'd be surprised how many things have started showing up. It's not necessarily blockchain, but these are all immersive worlds that use certain technologies. Hey, Mr. 41, this is another guy, man. He's an amazing guy. We were just talking about you, Mr. 41, a little while back.
All good things. All good things.
All good things. All good things. We're glad. Just the headline is: we're glad you chose the VeVe Gold and Silver logo party in New York over the Ape Fest in Portugal. Yes. And we know how much that means to you, Mr. 41. So anyway.
So
yeah, but that would be where I think I would kind of get people to focus, and there's a lot of money to be had there. And all these cities, like even in Dallas, man, there's so many immersive kind of experiences now. You can go see Cirque du Soleil in a place which looks like sort of like a dome. It's not a full dome or anything, but it makes you very immersive. They made Randy's day there. Um, yeah, so that's immersive stuff, and then there's similar stuff, right? All of
Agreed.
those use digital assets, man, and your friends with blockchain and digital assets can really make it happen.
So there's a O'Malley said in his space earlier, Ben gave a hint for December, keep your hands on the trigger. What do you think the collectible could be? I've been speculating. Well, there's been two things that VeVe has teased.
Colt
Both David,
45?
huh?
Colt 45?
Maybe. What was the gun that Shadow had in the Sonic trailer?
I don't know, man.
Oh, anyway, he was strapped up in that, and I was like, yo. Anyway, I don't know if we have. I don't think we have to take it. Anyway, the two things that VeVe and David and everyone has been teasing has been one, the banana, which I think could either be bananas and pajamas, it could be Fortnite, it could be Donkey Kong, because King Arcool stole his banana horde. That could be one thing that we might be able to get out of that. And the other thing is David has not teased anything with Dragon Ball Z up until recently, where he had that Goku. That is the other thing that potentially that Ben could talk about. Now, obviously, those are just two options. We could not have any of those licenses, and he could be referring to something else. But what do you think? What are your opinion?
Man, I don't know. These, Dragon Ball Z would be cool to have, right? That would be very cool to have. Is it the right time to do it? I don't know. Oh, you got all that tats and stuff? Oh, nice, man.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So,
also, David, you represent.
Yeah, I know. I noticed that. I saw it. I saw a T-shirt. But did you know did you know about this one? Did you hear about this?
Yeah. So that's
the origin story, right?
Yeah. The guy spent $6.2 million.
I don't think a lot of people know the origin story of the banana.
And he ate it.
This is the Andy Warhol cover album.
Oh, okay. That's not the art.
All right. So there's a dude. So look this up, okay? It's called the Velvet Underground and Nico.
Okay.
Banana sticker cover. So there's a dude in Canada, I think, who went and picked up this cover, this album, and it had this banana thing. He didn't know it. He bought it for cheap, and then it ended up selling for like 25,000 or 27,000 pounds or dollars or whatever it is. And then after that, this banana became a thing. So now there's like banana, like that's the whole origin of the banana.
The origin of the banana.
Andy Warhol cover of this album, The Velvet Underground and Nico. And this was like a rare cover that had the banana on it.
Yes.
Yeah, but anyway,
so that
somebody's
could be
gone
cool.
Crazy with it.
Maybe it could be a tease of, I don't think it'd be a tease of Evermind, but when you have one of the main characters as an ape, monkey, they eat bananas. Anyway, shout out to the 600 people that are here.
Let me ask you a question before we go off the banana.
Yeah,
so if VeVe dropped just a banana on a canvas, right? Just a banana taped. What would you pay for it, Randy? Let's say it's first appearance of the banana or fruit, and it's edition size 25, only 25 of them, and all of them are public. VeVe's not kept anything. Just for fun. How much would you pay?
MCP points and gems?
No, just gems.
Just gems.
Yeah.
I guess at least a couple hundred. I would say.
Because assume you won't get it on drop. So in the market, how much would you pay for it?
So that's a horse of a different color there, because I would pay 400 for it just on the drop.
Okay.
But secondary market, once that happens, it's like, okay, do you want to be that schmuck that's left holding that bag? Like assuming there's no future utility there. But I mean, at the end of the day, it is just a banana, and unless it's tied to a certain license.
Randy, this shit's not for you, man.
Yeah,
I have to ask Dr. Rolex this question. I have to ask Dr. Rolex, how much did you pay for that banana, Dr. Rolex?
I would have said 400, and then if I got it on the, if I would have got it on the drop.
Mr. 41, if Mr. 41's listening, Mr. 41, if VeVe did a drop for a banana on a canvas, right, edition size of 25, assume you don't get it on drop, and you have to buy it in the market. How much would you pay for a white canvas. Let's say it's a special canvas. It's really nice and beautiful, but still kind of with a banana on it.
Yeah, so we'll see what he says. I mean, there's different things that you can do with it. You could have fun with that in your showroom. You could have fun. I mean, so
others can respond too, by the way. I mean, I'll take anybody's answer, right? We can listen to anybody.
The things that you could do with it, bananas are universally used as gun shapes. I don't think you'd be able to clone it, but if you had to, you could land an airplane. You have the James Bond airplanes that are there. You have the X-wing from Luke Skywalker, but you also, like, instead of, like, let's say you have a James Bond collectible or a poster, but you superimpose the banana on the poster, in which case he's holding a banana. And then obviously there's the undertone sexual thing where you could have like a Harley Quinn, or you have things, and they do something with a banana as opposed to whatever. And then you have monkeys. You have those apes from Decon 3 years ago. You have the Evermind
Bobo,
Bobo. So you have different things that you could use with it and have fun with. And then also, I forget what artist it was. They went over this is going way back, unlocking a core memory. They had a show in like the 90s called Muppet Babies. And in Muppet Babies, Gonzo, or the baby version of Gonzo, was an artist, and he had this little a pink skate that happened to be Miss Piggy's. She left it out. It wound up hurting someone. And he said, like, oh, it's a pink skate. It just appears in my paintings. You could have those different types of things where maybe if you can bring yourself, not only yourself, to other people's showrooms, but you can bring your collectibles to their showrooms as well, and you leave something there. Like every now and then, I know people, they go to other people's homes and they like rearrange their little knickknacks, and to see how long it takes them to see it. Maybe you go and leave the banana in like a one-of-one artwork. Be like, wait a minute, is that a banana in my artwork? And see how long it takes people to notice. But outside of that, at the end of the day, it's a banana. I know there are people that would go crazy for it, because what was that Matt Gondek one with the donut version of Homer? It's like $120.
Yeah.
And that floor is like a couple $1,000s.
It is.
So
I should have picked it up right away. These things usually when they come out, they're cheaper than what they would eventually be. There's a few of these. Oh, look at that.
Near one says 1K.
I think 1 or 2K is kind of like what people pay for 25.
Yeah.
I think that banana thing on VeVe will kind of create a lot of controversy and will get people's attention. And if a Dr. Profit goes and pays like crazy ass money for the edition #1 of the banana thing, man, we'll make every Web3 news. Everybody will know what the hell VeVe is.
So yeah, I mean, you have people that again, the banana was bought for 35 cents from a food vendor, and then it raised $6.2 million. And if we ever get what's it called, the Minions, you could have that scene where, let's say, if Minions are like $10 or $5, kind of like the Stormtroopers were, and you have an army of them, and they have like banana next to Le Petit, next to that moon, and they praise banana. Some cultures praise the sun, they praise banana. It could be fun, and clearly people are willing to pay thousands of dollars for it. But you could have people go in and say, like, hey, I did this, and they can start their own cult. They can start whatever they want.
VeVe is one match away from going viral. Obviously, let's get all the shit in place first. But just, there's so many cool things on VeVe. It just takes one of these things to be liked by freaking Chris Brown or, Taylor Swift or one of these people, or, one of the actors, Keanu Reeves or, or one of these guys, just suddenly takes a liking to something. And I think we're just like that one match away from it. And I mean, I don't know when that happens, but if it does, I think Ron English is one of the closest people to those celebrities, and maybe Al Kahn as well. Like Al knows Justin Bieber and all these guys. They're all part of the charity and stuff, right? And similarly, Ron's met Bono, and it's Chris Brown, and he hangs out with Kevin Durant and all these guys, right? So yeah, man, I don't know, one of these guys, man, and Ron's on the app. Like one of these guys kind of gets excited about something on VeVe with Ron. Anyway, that's the hope. Sotheby's, right? I would love to see Sotheby's collab. You know, I would love to see a VeVe and Sotheby's collab. I would love to see a Heritage Auctions and VeVe collab. You
So
know, where
they
something
could,
on Heritage that sells, you get a digital on VeVe, or you know, it's marketed on VeVe or it's auctioned on VeVe with a digital. You know, I think there's a, but I mean, you know, that could be a partnership.
yeah, here's what I think they could do. So you have the VeVe app, the web version, which has
Yeah.
one of ones get auctioned off all the time,
Yeah.
a minimum for like $2,500. But
Yeah.
you've had people pay $20,000-$30,000 for these one of ones,
Yeah.
and they've been good. But we haven't had like the ones that are just like, oh, this is gonna go like.
Oh,
So I feel like David could leverage that against anywhere, whether it's Sotheby's, whether it's Golden, Heritage, whatever. Actually, Rashid
yeah.
Al Farooq is going to be on season 3 of Golden. You know, that the Golden Collectibles one,
Yeah. Yeah.
and we could go in and we could have one of these go for 6 figures, and that's the only reason why I would sell my number 41 collection. It would be for the headline. It would be these collectibles sell for 6 figures, or even heck, even if it was like 50K
So if
just for
OMI
the
hits a dollar, you'll still sell it?
no, at that point I could just throw money at whatever, and I could pay someone the however much money in order to make those headlines. The only reason I would at
So
that
what if
point,
you sell? What if you sell your 41 for whatever 100,000 or whatever? I think you were open to $100,000 offer, right?
oh,
And then
all of them
and then
together
OMI hits
would be
like a buck, and you make 20. You're worth 20 million. Would you regret having sold it for 100K?
probably, well, yes and no. I would regret selling it because I know I could have made more for that as everything hit,
Mhm.
but that would ultimately go, and that would kickstart the Chavez animal charity, and that would be I would almost never
Mm.
regret doing stuff for charity. The
Okay.
only way I would regret it is if, oh, I could have got more for that, but if
Okay.
that's what kickstarts it, that's fine. And
All
again, it
right.
wouldn't
All
be
right.
just this; it would be all. I have like the 641s
No,
because
no,
I
you're marketing it now, aren't you?
yeah, 100%. Because that, yeah. Also, out of all the people here that have followed me for X amount of years, again, there's
Sure.
600 people here right now. That as soon as I open that and I say, okay, guys, you followed me for X amount of years, sprinkle that cheddar to the Chavez charity. That's something that could, and that kickstarts it. That would be really big.
Awesome.
Even Ace Rig Move saying, I'm thinking about putting the amount of OMI tokens I hold on my YouTube channel banner. What do you think? I think that's great. I think that's a great
Yeah, sure.
idea.
Why not?
Any type of marketing for the token, even if you just
Yeah.
had 5 million, it'd be great.
I'm bullish on OMI.
Oh, 100%.
I'm bullish on OMI. I mean, I know the price and the sentiment. I bought more, and I probably will buy more because I trust the guys. Both David and Dan, I know that they will fight for OMI, and I know that Dr. Profit has the skill, and I
Yeah.
know that everybody else in the community who has any major OMI will rally around any initiatives. If we come up with like a campaign and some initiatives to drive OMI in 2025, let's assume the regulatory and all the shit's behind us, right? I think the community supports it. A lot of people, even the
Oh,
guys who are kind of upset and kind of saying all this shit. If you have a positive set of positive campaigns and actions and utility and things like that, they will support. And hence I'm bullish.
yeah.
I think you're right, dude. Like I think you're totally right.
They
At the
probably
end of the
would.
day, you'll probably buy one of them, and some of these other guys will respond, and the guys will buy it. So probably will sell. Hey, VeVe, if you're watching, there just might be an opportunity to do this banana without a 6% to Marvel or anyone.
I mean, there's something where I guess two
Maybe
examples here.
Chiquita Banana. Maybe they can do a deal with Chiquita Banana or whatever. Maybe FA Chiquita.
Did you see that video I did like 2 weeks ago on the banana thing?
No, I haven't. Is it on your channel?
I don't typically don't do videos a lot because there's so much content I can't fit it in
Yeah.
that video. So I was in Colombia, and
Mm.
back in the day, the US held basically these like banana wars, and a lot of it was
Mhm.
sponsored by Chiquita. And it
Mhm.
was go watch the video for people that haven't seen it, but it's a
Yeah.
long story that
Yeah.
the banana companies literally helped start multiple wars in the Caribbean, and it was,
Yeah.
to use that word, bananas. But VeVe has done things where I first thought it was a joke. It was a few years ago. where they were selling the Invisible Woman, and it was nothing. It was just a platform. I was like, guys, this is just a April Fool's joke. Don't worry about it. And then they actually sold it, and it sold out. And I was like, oh my god, this is crazy. So I think that they could do certain things where, let's say, if they had Nintendo, one of the things that I don't have a tattoo of it. It's Boo. It's one of those things that could be transparent. There's multiple versions of Boo, and you could have something where it is invisible, but then shown under a certain light or shown with another collectible, Boo appears. These are these types of things that they could literally sell nothing. People would buy it. It doesn't cost them anything, but then they go in and retroactively do that later. I think that would be really awesome if they did that.
Sounds good. Sounds good, man. All right, I think we've been at it for a little bit, Randy. I'm getting a little hungry too, so maybe we
almost 3 hours. Yeah, I'm very hungry as well. I have another call actually to go on after this. So, but let's
is that right?
Let's talk real quick after when we go off of here.
Yes, for sure.
Everyone say goodbye to Dashi. Bye-bye, Dashi.
Hey, thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you all for the super chats. I love you all. Class dismissed. My life.